Personal. I love these guys. Not only do they have expansive industry experience, a strong financial track record, but they're also highly capitalized for strategic growth. That's so important. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. They know what it means to grow a business by designing solutions that are right for you and only you. These are real people. They're ready to help. So reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Make the call today. 773-467-5630. 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Go online, signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Over the past couple of weeks, President Trump has shifted pressure for ending the war from Iran to Israel. He pressed for a ceasefire in Lebanon to incentivize the IRGC to make a deal. Hezbollah refused to comply, continuing to launch missile attacks on northern Israel. That escalated over the weekend, with Iran launching missiles at Israel and the IDF responding. Trump insists that the attacks are distracting from a deal that, for 2 months, he's promised is close to completion. Thus far, though, the IRGC refuses to comply with the terms of the current ceasefire. Israel has waited for 20 years for Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah and for the terrorist proxy to comply with a ceasefire brokered last year. Trump's current pressure strategy is misplaced. Israel is not an obstacle to peace in the region. Trump needs to apply pressure to the regime in Iran and to Hezbollah and Hamas as well to comply with the agreements they have already made. Until they do, what value is there in negotiation?
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature Bank has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are 3 companies quietly building a trillion-dollar triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These 3 companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on 3 companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which 3 companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
Fight or flight? In Illinois, you've got both options. You can stay and fight, engage in local races, work to change things. Or you can vote with your feet. At LeavingIL.com, we help you build a smart exit plan so you know where to go, when to go, and how to do it right. Take our quick exit readiness assessment. Go to LeavingIL.com. That's LeavingIL.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas. Otherwise, it will be very warm and humid with variable cloudiness reaching a high of 88. Tonight will be partly cloudy, warm and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in spots with a low of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, we're kicking it off with sports and politics after President Trump's visit to his old stomping grounds, much to the chagrin of Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul and this bizarre New York City state power structure that thinks that Donald Trump is some sort of interloper in New York, for goodness sakes. I mean, can anybody go to the footage? Do you want to get some sense of what you're talking about before you opine? Do you even really have to opine? The president of the United States going to a sporting event? I mean, it is so de rigueur with the job. It's so boring, and it's particularly boring when you have somebody who was a lifelong Knicks fan, long-suffering like all Knicks fans. So, I mean, the Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul stuff, I mean, it's funny when you're trying to accuse somebody of being contrived by being contrived.
But it also is not clear to me that Donald Trump is a big Knicks fan. I mean, does this guy even know the difference between Karl Rove and Karl Anthony Towns? I don't think so.
Zing. This was Kathy Hochul last week when it was rumored he might come to a game or two, depending on how long the series went.
What do you think of him saying he's a lifelong Knicks fan? I think that's how the Times reported it.
I asked him to name the starting lineup from 1993 championship team and see how he does.
Yeah, as I said and talked about before, right, name the starting lineup from the 1993 championship team, which wasn't a championship team because the Bulls won the championship that year. But, okay, a real gotcha. Do you have to politicize everything? They do. So in response to the question of Trump's attendance and his lifelong fandom, since this is something, I guess, the left thinks they're going to score political points by ginning up, I'll cede my attention to that man from a distant planet who came to Earth to be the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, who had this to say pregame.
I found out because Jim Dolan invited him to the game, and he said yes, and he's welcome to be here. I think that what makes sports so special, especially when there's so much that divides people, is it's something that we have in common, and we should look for those things that we have in common and build off that. And I'll also say about President Trump, I've been with the league for a long time. I ran NBA Entertainment years ago. He did an I Love This Game spot with us. He was a fixture at NBA at Madison Square Garden. You guys remember, all of you, when you played here, not Draymond, but back in the old days, he had courtside seats. He was here all the time. He was at drafts, so he's a genuine Knicks fan. And so, yes, there's some inconvenience to the fans here, but one looking around this arena, it's packed. So people listen. They came early. They got through whatever extra security, which is necessary. So, as I said, I think we should be using sports to create more of a sense of community with people.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything that Silver said is right, but I would go one step further and just say, look, basically just what I said, including to Ernie Johnson and Barkley and Shaq and Drummond Green, the whole assembled pregame team there. Do you have to politicize everything? Yeah, Spike Lee and Donald Trump's politics aren't the same. We're here to talk about basketball or something that's approximates basketball. It's just, again, I don't know how many times I say this, one of the reasons we do the sports and politics segment is because there should be corners of life in a free society that are safe havens from politics. What politics consumes, it destroys, as we've seen. Not that it's going to be immune from politics because it's part of our culture. But when you force feed it like this, we're really going to argue about whether or not Trump is an authentic Knicks fan? I mean, how many clips are now circulating of Trump at Knicks games? And as Adam Silver says, I love this game spots for the NBA and so on and so forth. I mean, this was Trump back during the Kobe era, attending a Knicks game for the express purpose of seeing Kobe play.
Nothing says New York like Donald Trump, who is a big Knicks fan and who joins us now. Donald, I know you're a Knicks fan, so are you disappointed that Kobe's not here, or are you glad he's not here because it ups your chances?
Well, I guess you could look at it both ways, but I'd like to see Kobe play. I came here to see my man Kobe. Kobe is great. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, what happened to Kobe? But I guess he had a little problem.
Yeah, you got to talk to your friends at the NBA.
Or when Charles Oakley ran into him, because, he's got courtside seats. Charles Oakley, by the way, one of the starting five of the 1993 non-championship team that Kathy Hochul was talking about. So we're going back, 3 decades. Now, I don't even know if he knows the difference between Karl Rove and Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, that Hakeem Jeffries is so incapable. He's such a goof. Trump being interviewed by the late, great Craig Sager in his one of his multicolored suits after the Oakley run-in.
162-8, the last time diving into the arms of Donald Trump. Gave what on you? Well, I never realized how big he was until I was holding him. This was not pretty. Did you take a hard hit? A little bit of a hit, but he's great. He's a good guy. I know him, so it's okay. What do you think of the Knicks comeback here? I think they're doing great. It's a great game. All right. Don't get hurt. Have a good time.
Yeah, Knicks fever. Catch it. The comments after the game is the only thing I would quibble about with the president, because this description of the NBA is not a description of the NBA. This comment actually had me questioning his fandom.
Commissioner Silver, he came over to pay his respects. As president, he came over. We talked a little bit about the NBA and about the game, and the game's changed. I said it's gotten rougher, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's gotten rougher. When you look at the way they guard people now, I don't remember them doing that 10 years ago. And he knows a lot about basketball, but it's good. It's good for the game.
Do you think the NBA
it's a tougher
away
game.
From the left-wing stuff that they were getting criticized for?
Well, it's a little left-wing. I think so. It tends to be a little bit left-wing, but it's great entertainment. Great.
It isn't. And, the idea that it's rougher than it was a decade or two ago, come on, Mr. President. What game are you watching? That Wemby throwdown of Jalen Brunson last night? That would be like a love tap in the Ewing, Oakley, Starks era. Come on. rougher than it used to be. Please. Defense? What defense? The score is 115 to 111 last night. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. By the way, I am begrudgingly rooting for the Knicks only because you got a Illinois Mr. Basketball. Stevenson's very own Jalen Brunson, who is a great player, and from everything I understand, a high character guy too. So for Jalen Brunson, I'll fold in with the president and root for the Knicks. I otherwise would not. I mean the after the game, the Adam Silver thing. I think too, Adam Silver was buttering Trump up, just as a quick aside, because he's a little afraid that he's going to be in the UFO files when they come out. Hi-yo. One other matter with sports and politics on a unhappy note, I must say. Sorry for my Ed Grimley there. The Chicago White Sox, they have been found out by Pro 2A Group, and I'm glad this has been brought to my attention. The White Sox tweeted a few days ago, "Today is Gun Violence Awareness Day. The White Sox are committed to seeking innovative solutions to gun violence. We are proud to support these organizations and their efforts to create a safer community." And the organizations include, like, Everytown, that Bloomberg started organization, which is a bunch of gun banners. I mean, I don't know if, Team Reinsdorf has, got one eye out the door, and so they're not paying attention, or nobody talked to Ishbia. Somebody needs to bring this their attention. The Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, they're bringing it to people's attention. That's Alan Gottlieb's group, and they've got a running list of don't feed them corporations. In other words, don't support these corporations, or in this case, sports teams that are promoting restrictions on people's Second Amendment rights. You would think, particularly in Chicago, you'd have a little bit more concern for the law-abiding who are under siege by the lawless because of the lawless political class. The White Sox struck out with a lot of fans, judging from the reaction we're seeing on social media, wrote Gottlieb. We're adding the team to our list of organizations which no longer deserve the support of gun owners in Illinois or anywhere else. Well, thankfully for me, I haven't been to a Sox game in about 3 years, and despite their surprising performance this year, I have no intention of going anytime soon. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 5:38, the murder trial of Carmelo Anthony, now that both sides have rested. We'll review 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:31. Expect a thunderstorm in parts of the area this morning. Otherwise, very warm and humid, a high of 88. Our top story, a man is dead, 3 others wounded in a shooting on the west side. Police say a 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on the sidewalk last night on North Lockwood when someone in a passing SUV opened fire. All 4 were sent to the area hospitals with gunshot wounds. 1 later pronounced dead. A 13-year-old boy is charged in a shooting that left 4 other boys wounded on Chicago's South Side. The teen shot an 11-year-old, 2 13-year-olds, and a 14-year-old Saturday night along South Prairie Avenue. A U.S. Army helicopter has crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The Apache helicopter was flying over the critical waterway when it went down amid an ongoing ceasefire.
The pilots are fine, yeah.
And what's
nobody
that,
injured.
Brought it down?
We are going to issue a report tomorrow, but the pilots are fine. Yeah.
President Donald Trump saying it happened early Tuesday morning. Voters heading to the polls for primaries in 4 states today: North Dakota, South Carolina, Nevada, and Maine. A memorial ride honored a Chicago bike safety advocate, Riley O'Neill, last night.
While the circumstances around Riley's death are tragic, the situation is made all the more painful because his death, like so many others, did not need to happen.
Last Friday, the 35-year-old CDOT employee was biking along Halstead in the Bridgeport community when a car's driver opened up their door, causing O'Neill to lose control and fall into a lane of traffic where he was struck. A group of former Chicago federal prosecutors are taking aim at U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros. More than 100 former prosecutors released a letter saying the actions of Boutros and other leaders have tarnished the reputation of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Chicago sports. Spurs finally on the board in the NBA Finals, team edging the Knicks 115-111 in Game 3 at MSG. White Sox host the Braves tonight. Cubs begin a 6-game road trip with a game against Colorado at Coors Field, while the Bears begin mandatory minicamp at Hallis Hall today. It's 5:34. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but up next, a check of your morning AccuWeather forecast.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com.
Your home or business has storm damage and you have an insurance claim.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters. Today, insurance companies are notorious for offering way too little money to repair damage to your home or commercial building due to wind, hail, tornado, floods, or fire. Crosscom works for you, not the insurance company. As licensed adjusters, Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. After they get you the fair insurance company result, Crosscom can start doing your repairs. Crosscom is a full construction and restoration company that will get your property back to its pre-loss condition, getting your life back to normal. Roof, siding, windows, doors, fire restoration, Crosscom does it all.
Call Crosscom.
Licensed in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. We share your conservative and Christian values. Let us handle everything. It all starts with a call.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-738-2856. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a chance of morning thunderstorms in some areas. Otherwise, it will be very warm and humid with varying cloud cover. The high will reach 88 degrees. Tonight, anticipate partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions, along with a chance of thunderstorms in some spots. The low will be around 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The Carmelo Anthony murder trial. If you have been paying attention or you've forgotten, Carmelo Anthony stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet in Texas 2 years ago. And by all accounts, it was unprovoked that Carmelo Anthony was the aggressor, including a lot of accounts of eyewitnesses in the trial. Yesterday, both sides rested. The defense choosing not to call Carmelo Anthony as a witness, even though they're arguing self-defense, which is a curious approach, the combination of the two. If you're going to argue self-defense, you're going to, the jury's going to want to hear from the defendant, not the choice they made. Why is this so important? Not more important, but why has it gotten more notoriety than so many other murders in this country? Well, because of the racial component. Carmelo Anthony's black, Austin Metcalf was white. And the way that black on white crime is covered by the media as compared to the converse. Not to mention larger discussions about the incidence of crimes involving different races, which direction, generally speaking, we have the assailant, and which direction, generally speaking, we have victims, at least on a proportional basis. And it's not so much the honkies making it about race. It was the Anthony family and their mouthpiece, some local race hustler named Dominique Alexander, who made it about race right from the get-go. Press conference they chose to have after Carmelo Anthony was charged with murder. This was Mom.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Carmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds.
I haven't received, but are going to receive.
Receive those funds once a request is made.
Yeah.
I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Well, you want to be empathetic to Mom there. But as to that Give, Send, Go cash that was raised, and by the way, this is another reason why this is so high profile, the fact that $600,000 was raised for Carmelo Anthony's defense in response to it being characterized as donations to fight against, quote, white supremacy, unquote. There was no even allegations that there was anything racial between Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony or anybody else. It became racial after he stabbed Austin Metcalf to death at a track meet, and then his family and their spokesman made it racial. That's how this went down. And they raised $600,000, making it racial. And before you get too empathetic, the family used that money to rent a home in a gated community in Frisco, Texas. By the way, I said this was 2 years ago. This was April of last year. Time seems like longer. They rented a gated home in Frisco, a community, a home in a gated community in Frisco, and purchased new cars, including an Escalade, reportedly. At the same time, Anthony's father told the court he was the sole breadwinner, could not afford the original $1 million bond, so he couldn't put up $100,000 for his kid, despite the fact they had $600,000 in that Give, Send, Go, and despite the fact it was ostensibly money raised for his defense. Bond was later reduced to $250,000. After a grand jury indicted him in June of last year, Anthony filed an indigent packet requesting a court-appointed attorney on the grounds he was financially destitute. $600,000 for that defense. Couldn't bond him out. Couldn't get him a lawyer after bond was reduced by 3/4. So, yeah. And by that family spokeswoman I keep talking about, Dominique Alexander, local yokel race hustler, maybe trying to make his way Benjamin Krupp style to the national stage. He had this to say at that same press conference last year after the murder to Austin Metcalf's father, who showed up at this press conference.
He should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that.
So there you go. It was the, if Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent, then so is he, and he continued.
Poor individuals who come here to sole purpose on provoking conflict and creating division. Our message for those supporting Carmelo Anthony is simple. Do not allow yourself to be baited in. We have seen the extremist rhetoric. All I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words. Okay? What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism.
Yeah, you could argue whether or not Mr. Metcalf should have showed up to that press conference, but I wouldn't necessarily have been quite that aggressive given the circumstances. At least Mom, conveyed empathy with respect to the family for the loss of their kid. Mom's not at fault. Now, the things that they have done as a family since that murder took place, questionable at best. Brooke Taylor reporting for Fox News at the trial, on the trial. This quick thumbnail summary of some of the witness testimony, just in case you think that there's much in controversy here. There isn't.
Today, the defense called a school police officer to the stand who testified that knives under 5 inches are legal to carry in Texas. But the defense asked, it would surprise you if schools had policies against such things. The officer said, no, it would not. And one of the defense's own witnesses during cross-examination said, quote, I think Carmelo was in the wrong. Prosecutors asked, did Carmelo Anthony provoke the confrontation? He answered yes. And on the prosecution side, jurors heard from student witnesses who described Anthony as the aggressor, saying he refused to leave their team's tent after Metcalf repeatedly asked him. A 16-year-old witness testified that, quote, Anthony repeated, F y'all, I'm not going to leave. He said Anthony also threatened, touch me and see what happens, while Metcalf told him, quote, I am not going to fight you.
Even one of the defense witnesses said he thought Carmelo Anthony was wrong. You better, you might want to do some better prep on your witnesses, defense team. Maybe if Carmelo Anthony could have afforded a better defense team. Oh, wait, right. They had to rent that house in Frisco, buy some new cars. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Bill, Northwest Side.
I've been threatened. Give me my money.
Yeah, right. The generic death threat. We talked about that with respect to Jesse Ridgway yesterday. The defense to bad action is I'm being subjected to meanness and some unnamed death threats. I mean, again, nobody is condoning any sort of threatening of people, but that as a misdirection play away from the substance of the matter at hand is I've really grown weary of. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, so 2 quick points. So they raised this kid with God in the house. So God must have told him to bring a knife to the track meet. And also, didn't this race hustler also say that Rittenhouse shot 3 people in the back with an AK-47? Rittenhouse never shot 3 people in the back. Rittenhouse should sue this race hustler for defamation.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Yeah, there was a lot of attempts to blur the political lines by invoking race and disparate treatment under the law, allegedly. That's not what's happened. That's not what happened. It's what happened at all. By the way, there's some other video of Carmelo Anthony. This is unrelated to the Austin Metcalf murder, but it speaks to the kind of young man he was. Let's not get look at his 8th grade graduation picture and think, oh, what a sweet young man, like we do with, like they do with Laquan McDonald and so many of these young people who engage in bad acts, and we're supposed to think that they were honor students, they're turning their lives around, they're sweet little kids, got mixed up in something they didn't know anything about, they're just being silly, all the rationalizations and infantilizations of young people who should know better and should suffer the consequences when they do something that runs afoul of knowing better. It's a simple thing, but it's indicative of a general attitude. Carmelo Anthony waiting for an Uber at night outside somebody's front door that's not his front door, private property, and it's an older woman, and she basically wants to know why he's loitering outside her door.
You are currently being recorded.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, what do you want? Why are you there?
I don't want anything. I'm waiting for the Uber.
Why are you waiting at our front door?
Because I can wait right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a free.
Yeah, it is. And the police are free, too.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah,
when you're talking to people, be more respectfully, okay?
Yeah, I will be more respectful, but you're on private property, so you need to be respectful. So I suggest you wait for Uber on the sidewalk.
So I don't have to do anything. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, well, I think we'll call 911.
And they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, nice young man. Another interesting development here. You've had some professional race hustlers outside of the courthouse protesting for, rallying for, however you want to describe it, Carmelo Anthony. One of them is this guy.
I like the smell of burning, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? See, the time of you having fear on us is over. It's over. We ain't scared of you. We gonna do some Nat Turner, you motherfucker.
Yeah, he's this big black dude who's running around calling everybody who's white with the American flag, basically out there counter-protesting on behalf of Metcalf. A cracker, saying, I'll wrap you up in that flag and burn you. That's what he said there. That man is Jacob Blake Sr. Jacob Blake, does the name sound familiar? One of his sons is Jacob Blake Jr., the guy who was shot by Wisconsin police in the back, paralyzed for being a thug and engaging in thuggish behavior, resisting arrest. He had domestic issues. Jacob Blake Jr. Well, one of Jacob Blake Jr.'s stepbrothers and Jacob Blake Sr.'s sons is very different from Jacob Blake Sr., and he took to YouTube to talk about what Dad is doing outside the courthouse as it pertains to the Carmelo Anthony trial.
So he's out here doing his whole Black Lives Matter shtick. He's been grifting the BLM folks ever since his son got shot. And if you don't remember, his son was Jacob Blake, who got shot in the back by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin a long time ago. Do you remember when the Milwaukee Bucks protested a playoff game? Yeah, that's his son. Let me tell you about this man named Jacob Blake. He's from the south side of Chicago, but I grew up in North Carolina because he moved us down there. The reason we moved to North Carolina is because he went to college down there at Winston-Salem State, and he got a job at a water treatment plant down there when I was about 7. So he moved the whole family down there, right? Right. Now, mind you, he tells this story with pride. A couple of months after we moved down there, one of his baby mamas put him on child support. So he quit his job. He quit the reason he uprooted our entire lives, because one of his baby mamas put him on child support. And from that point forward, he was always hustling, or he had his businesses in somebody else's name so none of his BMs could ever actually come after him for child support, because what is a percentage of $0? Scumbag. He had like 5-6 kids on my mama, right? And he thought buying school clothes every other year was taking care of his kids. As a matter of fact, this man, Mr. Black Lives Matter so much, you know what he said about the black children he created outside of his marriage? You know what he said about the baby mamas, the black baby mamas? He said, I'll never give none of them bitches no money.
And on Jacob Blake Jr., his stepbrother?
His son, the one who was shot, Jacob Blake Jr., and he's Jacob Blake Sr.? That's actually false reporting. You see, blacks don't do any research when they report on things when they want their narrative to stick. His name is Jacob Blake III. His son, who he had illegitimately, when his mama named him the same thing as him, this arrogant bastard didn't give the baby mama permission to name him. So he's not Jacob Blake IV. I have another brother who was born like 12 years later from my mom when they was married, and he named him Jacob Blake IV. So this arrogant bastard has 2 sons named Jacob because the first Jacob's baby mama didn't get permission. And then to spit in that Jacob's face, he named the new son he had with his wife Jacob and gave him the title. So of course Jake was surprised when he got shot and he woke up in the hospital and you were there, because during his childhood, that's not what you were.
I have newfound empathy for Jacob Blake Jr., having Jacob Blake Sr. as his father. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer Line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
AM 560 The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06. It's official as anything is in California. Spencer Pratt not in the runoff. The fallout from that, or what the fallout should be, at 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
It's primary day in 4 states. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. In Maine, Democrat Graham Plattner has no real challenge in his Senate primary.
One Maine voter explained why he thinks Plattner's many controversies, including a Nazi tattoo Plattner says he's since covered, aren't problematic for many Democratic voters.
They want to get rid of Susan Collins, take over the Senate, and that's the bottom line. He could be Adolf Hitler. Doesn't matter who he is.
His primary opponents include government worker and previous Senate candidate David Costello. While Governor Janet Mills' name remains on the ballot, she suspended her campaign in April over lack of funding. The Republican incumbent Senator Susan Collins has no primary challenger. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Senate Republican Lindsey Graham's up for re-election in South Carolina. There's a governor's race there. In Nevada and Maine, there are also primaries in North Dakota today. Democrat City Council member Nithya Raman advances to the general election in the Los Angeles mayor's race, beating Republican Spencer Pratt for the number 2 spot against Democrat incumbent Karen Bass.
Bass's campaign was already on the attack after Raman pushed ahead of Spencer Pratt by about 3,000 votes after ballot dumps over the weekend. Bass's campaign said, quote, a campaign against Nithya Raman, who allows encampments near schools and cuts the police force, is one Mayor Bass is looking forward to winning.
That's Fox's Christina Coleman. The San Antonio Spurs win Game 3 of the NBA Finals, 115-111. Breaking the New York Knicks' record 13-game playoff win streak. President Trump attended the game at Madison Square Garden.
During the national anthem, he was saluting the American flag, and Knicks fans loudly booed him as he appeared to smirk through the whole thing. Trump sat next to Knicks owner James Dolan, who invited him. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani also attended. He did not meet with President Trump during his visit. Fans tonight couldn't bring bags, and they went through a TSA-style security check.
It's Fox's Nate Foy. America's listening to Fox News.
muggy 72 degrees this morning on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A thunderstorm in parts of our area this morning with a high near 88 later today. One man is dead, 3 others are wounded in a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say a 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on the sidewalk last night in the first block of North Lockwood Avenue when someone in a passing SUV opened fire. All 4 shot were sent to the hospital with gunshot wounds. One of the men later pronounced dead. A memorial ride honored a Chicago bike safety advocate, Riley O'Neill, last night.
While the circumstances around Riley's death are tragic, the situation is made all the more painful because his death, like so many others, did not need to happen. A
memorial was held in the 3200 block of South Halsted last night. The spot has become a gathering place for cyclists mourning the loss of CDOT employee Riley O'Neill. A high school has canceled all summer classes for at least the next day due to a ransomware attack. Evanston Township High School announcing the attack has disrupted district systems, internet service, and computer infrastructure. Politicians and workers not happy about the Department of Corrections' decision to relocate Logan Correctional Center from Lincoln to Crest Hill. A state senator from Joliet continues to argue in favor of that move, while Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch says his community will see a reduction in population.
There will definitely be a loss of sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, and our local businesses will likely see an impact of this as well.
However, State Senator Rachel Ventura of Joliet says it will be more cost-effective to build in Will County.
First, we do have another facility at Lincoln where those workers can transition, so we don't anticipate individuals losing their jobs. We do need a women's facility up north.
The cost estimate for the new Stateville facilities is about $1 billion. White Sox host the Braves tonight. Cubs take on the Rockies at Coors Field. The Bears begin mandatory minicamp at Hallis Hall. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher isn't sad. He's gone.
I didn't plan to talk about Stephen Colbert's last show, but I've been thinking a little bit about it. He had apparently one Republican on the whole time he hosted the show. You know who it was? Liz Cheney. Now, whoever turns on CBS late at night is not going to be subjected to that kind of propaganda. And that's a good thing.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Megan Basham of the Daily Wire, inviting you to join me for the 2026 Issues Etc. Making the Case Conference, Friday, June 12th and Saturday, June 13th at Concordia University, Chicago. I'll be speaking and signing copies of my book, Shepherds for Sale. And joining me at this annual conference for Christian laity are Molly Hemingway of The Federalist, Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch, and Aaron Hawley of Alliance Defending Freedom. Learn more at issuesetc.org, issuesetc.org.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Feeling uncertain by life's challenges? Discover timeless truth and encouragement with In Touch Ministries, guiding you every step of the way. At intouch.org, you'll discover encouragement that lasts. With powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith, you'll find hope and wisdom for every season of your life. Don't wait. Visit intouch.org today and let God's Word inspire your journey. That's intouch.org.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
608 Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Friends who are in Southwest Michigan or you're headed that way, there's a bad accident, I-94 westbound right near John Beers Road. As you're traveling in that neck of the woods, you're going to find it completely shut down. Hard to get around right now, and we'll keep an eye on that for you if you're traveling to or from Southwest Michigan. I-57 jammed up as well. Accident, right lane blocked between 127th and 107th. Stop and go traffic outbound on the Kennedy between River Road and Manheim. Traffic, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. SurroundChicago.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas. Otherwise, it will be very warm and humid with variable cloudiness reaching a high of 88. Tonight will be partly cloudy, warm and humid with a chance of a thunderstorm in spots with a low of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So Spencer Pratt did not make the runoff. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. And unnerving. And angering. It's not so much about California specifically, although that's part of it. It's about the dialogue in the wake of Spencer Pratt's defeat after seeming victory meaning getting into the runoff. And, nicely encapsulated by Manu Raju from CNN chasing Speaker Johnson down the hallway at the Capitol, and like Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, demanding to see the evidence of fraud. Where's your evidence? There's no evidence. Repeat the mantra. Show me the evidence. Where's your evidence? You have no evidence, therefore there was no fraud.
The president keeps saying that there's election fraud in the California mayoral's race. What evidence is there to prove that?
You tell me, Manu. They are counting votes weeks after the election. We have entire nations with huge populations, like India, that can count their votes in 24 to 40 hours.
You're saying it's rigged like the president?
I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm saying it stinks to high heaven, and everybody knows that. Let's remove the appearance of impropriety. Let's have what a concept. Let's have votes on an election the day of the election. That's what many states are able to do. I think California is playing around with this.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was
What
rigged?
evidence?
I don't.
What evidence?
Some of these efforts are so
your evidence?
diabolical and so far upstream that it's impossible to prove. But I think everybody knows instinctively something is wrong here. And that's a concern. We need people to believe in the integrity of our election system. It is critical to maintain a constitutional republic.
Where's your evidence? Show me the evidence. Well, you have to have faith. What's the evidence? There's no fraud. Okay. That last part that Speaker Johnson offered, people have to have confidence in the system. It's a dangerous game that the left is playing with our country. If people want to perk up and notice. Because back in the real world, away from government unions and DSA activists, where the 85% of people who believe that requiring voter ID to vote is sensible, people instinctively know that's what Johnson was getting at. Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? The system is the fraud, Manu. The system is the fraud. A system where you need to sign your ballot, but a mark or a slash will do. We check signatures, except as Mickey Koss posted on X. LA election workers told reporters they don't check the signatures. Must be postmarked by Election Day. The fine print lets voters self-date. Ballot harvesters must sign the ballot envelopes, but the ballot's still counted if they don't. And who checks the ballot signer's signature on the Dropbox votes? Nobody. So it's like having a room full of high school juniors taking the SAT and taking the ACT, say, for example. And the answer key is left on the desk at the front of the room, and there's no proctor for the exam. Everybody in that classroom gets a perfect 36 or 1,600. Where's your evidence of fraud? Where's your evidence of cheating? You have no evidence of cheating. No, you set up the system such that the outcome was predetermined or manipulated to be predetermined in whatever way those who designed the system intended. And then you do the where's your evidence, where's your evidence? Unfortunately, as we've talked about before, sort of the expectation of the rigging, the expectation of the fraud endemic to the system becomes part of the fix because fatalism sets in and this is just the way it's going to be. And then you have these other explanations that are coming in from, deep thinkers on the left like Matt Iglesias. Oh, yeah, Spencer Pratt got 25% of the vote in a city that's 80-20 Dem to Republican. What's the surprise here? Right. Because Spencer Pratt was just getting of the percentage of the vote of self-identified Republicans who voted. You put Spencer Pratt does everything he did in that campaign, or you just put a nondescript name with an R next to it on the ballot and the outcome would have been the same. Is that what you're saying? I find that hard to believe. Because Spencer Pratt was tapping into something that we know there's evidence. Here, you want my evidence? Sure. Here, let me give you an example. Here's Exhibit 1. Doug Ellen, the creator of Entourage, the TV show, living in L.A., not a Republican, made that clear. And this is just one of many videos, some high-profile people like this guy, many others not.
Hey, LA Times gaslighters. It's weird. one of 15 cameras that I now have at this house. 2 German Shepherds, 3 legal guns. 5 years ago, didn't lock a door here, but you know what happened? 2 animals invaded my house. And no, I'm not racist because they were wearing masks. I don't know if they were white. I don't know if they were Jewish. I don't know if they were f***ing rabbis. I know they were animals because they invaded my house. I know I don't care what their excuses are, like a lot of you f***ing care. I know invaders of homes should get 20 years. But I'm not paranoid, so I don't believe your about the stats and the crime, because everyone in my neighborhood has got the same problem. They're all putting cameras and hiring security guards because we're all getting broken into. It's not made up. It's not false. And this city has collapsed in the last 5 years. There is no denying it unless you have an agenda, and I don't know what that is. But you say, oh, Spencer Pratt has no experience, so how can we possibly think about this? What experience did Karen Bass have, or Rick Caruso, who we know can build things, who we know can fix problems, when you made sure he couldn't win? So right now, you're putting people in the same position that you did with Trump, who I did not vote for, by the way. You put him in by making sure we had no options, okay? And that's where we are in LA, and we want to fix this place because we don't want to be forced out. I'm one of the people who made this city look great. I did it for years. I glorified it. I meet people all the time that moved here because the show that I created, and they hate it here now. Hate.
But there's no evidence. Where's your evidence? Chris and Carrie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. 2 points. Where was the mainstream media chasing Adam Schiff around, asking him to show us the evidence during Russiagate?
Yeah, still waiting for that smoking gun.
Yeah, and this reminds me of the days at the Merc and the Hogs before there were cameras. And you'd do your trades, and at the end of the day, you'd go up to the lounge, have a few beers, and then figure out the prices so everybody made money.
Yeah, okay. All right. I appreciate that analogy. It's apt. You know, feel free to offer your own metaphor. I've got the ACT exam. He's got the hog pit. 312-642-5600. It's the Alpha Wealth Group call and text line. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Steve Hilton, who, by the way, if I was Steve Hilton, I would be spending less time celebrating the fact that I got into the runoff and a lot more time decrying what happened in the LA mayor's race. This is where you need to sustain attention, and it will redound to your benefit in, obviously, a very uphill race he has. Now, again, Hilton got about just a little bit more as a percentage basis than Pratt did. He's like 26%. Of course, not all the votes are counted yet, that caveat. They're still accepting them today, as of today. But Spencer Pratt has fallen behind by upwards of 30,000 votes now, so it seems unlikely, and thus the race has been called. But Hilton also had another Republican, don't forget, Chad Bianco. So the combined vote total puts him in the high 30s, but the high 30s is a long way to go to 50% plus one. So Hilton needs to create more spectacle and put more pressure on the system, too. This is not a time for celebration if you want to make a serious run in the general. Nonetheless, on with Billy Bush talking about mail-in ballots. This is the sort of thing that he is contributing and should be.
There's one thing that is just extraordinary to anyone watching, which is this mail-in ballot 7 days after the election. The argument is, well, we want maximum participation. So if someone wants to vote on election day, we're going to treat sending in a mail ballot the same as if you were voting. That's why we're going to give 7 days for the ballot to arrive. But there's a line in the law that says that actually the proof that you mailed your ballot on or just before election day, even if it arrives after election day, it's not just the postmark. You can write it. You can handwrite the date.
Wow.
And that counts. It's not. I was talking about this at the last elections. I had a whistleblower from the Postal Service explaining this. So just to be really clear what that means, you can backdate your ballot
by hand.
By hand, and it will be counted. That's how
outrageous.
Insane this system is.
The system is the fraud. Jay Clayton, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, having to endure Andrew Ross Sorkin on CNBC.
I am not speculating about fraud. I'm not saying there is fraud, okay? I am saying that the opportunity for fraud makes no sense to me when we can run a much better system.
I only say that because the president over the weekend very openly didn't just speculate that there was fraud. He said directly that there was fraud.
Let me also say this, Andrew. There are a lot of people who look at this and say there is no fraud, okay? I don't think that they're right either when you have a situation where you don't have voter ID, where there's no voter ID in New York. One of the most ironic things in the last 6 months of my life is I go in to vote last November. I go into my local school, and you know what it says above the door in the local school? Must have ID to enter. Must have ID to enter the school, but the person in front of me pulled out their ID, and the poll worker said, I don't need that. Just sign up. I'm like, it was almost Kafkaesque. Like, we're all worried about the integrity of our voting system. Let's all agree that it can be improved dramatically.
You think? And the circuit is just so pedantic. Trump said, he didn't say there's the possibility, he said there was fraud. The system is the fraud. And when you make statements like that, idiosyncratic observations like that, you're part of it, because Andrew Ross Sorkin is too smart to be that stupid. He knows exactly what we're all talking about. He has the same reaction that he can't give voice to that we all have. This regime in California is absurd. They're still hovering around 90% of ballots cast a week after, and Peru counted 90% of 27 million ballots cast in the first hour after polls closed yesterday. John in Portage Park. Hey, John. John in Portage Park. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I heard someone tell me that if you trust mail-in balloting so much, you should put $20,000 in an envelope and mail it to yourself. That's what they should say to these people that say mail-in balloting is safe. Put $20,000. Would you do that? I wouldn't.
Well, thanks for the call, John. I mean, it's not that ballots aren't getting delivered. It's that ballots are coming in from everywhere. And with ballot harvesting being legal in California, anybody can dump as many ballots as they want and as many drop boxes as they want, self-postmark, signatures of voters that aren't checked, so you don't have to worry about that, or not matched, or if the signature isn't on the envelope, so what? It's getting counted anyway. You can't not get, it's almost like it's impossible to disqualify a ballot, a vote in California, no matter what you do. You're Nick Shirley and you go to Doris, a 126-year-old woman who's voted in the last 51 elections, according to California state voter rolls, and you go knock on her door at the address listed on the public record in terms of where she resides, this voter, and you ask, hi, Doris. Oh, you're still alive. Are you 126? No. Have you voted in the last 51 elections? No. You got wrong information. No, I don't have wrong information. State of California does. And don't worry, Doris, if you can't get out and vote, somebody will come out, get out and vote for you under your name. But, again, Hakeem Jeffries, this is the mantra. Show me the evidence. There is no evidence. Thus, there is no fraud.
California is a great place to live. I appreciate the leadership of Governor Gavin Newsom, as well as, of course, the California delegation, which is a tremendous group of public servants. There is no election fraud in California. Donald Trump is making it up. He can't point to a shred of evidence to prove his point.
Where's your evidence?
This is all a conspiracy theory because Donald Trump knows in November he's going down in flames electorally, and Republicans are about to lose the House.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Pro forma. Okay. Owen in Willowbrook.
Hi, Dan. Hey, Dan, if this isn't a call for John Thune to get rid of the filibuster and pass the SAVE Act, I don't know what is. And then when I have a Democrat come up to me and say, show me the proof, well, I just use the analogy, well, Tony Accardo was never convicted of being in the mafia. So I guess he was never in the mafia.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah. So
Thanks
show
for
me the
right.
proof.
Yeah, that's right. Prove it. You haven't proved it in a court of law. You're not a criminal. That's right. You just ignore, you turn your brain off and you ignore the overwhelming circumstantial evidence. You ignore the conduct. You ignore the way the system is set up, and then it all makes sense. No, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. It's just, look, we will do whatever it takes to acquire and keep political power. That's it. So it's not people that are completely naive to what's going on. They're the perpetrators of the system. They're the Praetorian Guard of the system, but for very specific rational reasons, not morally righteous reasons, but rational reasons. We want power, and when we get it, we want to keep it. So that's what's going on, which is why what CNN attempted to do, here's another. Oh, and by the way, just one other point. I mentioned this yesterday, but the system is the fraud, and nobody in the system from the top is interested in rooting out fraud. So nobody in the system downstream pays any mind to all of these issues in terms of what the laws governing elections in California actually say versus how we enforce them. We don't. Nobody cares. So nobody's interested in interdicting fraud. And then if you have somebody come in from the outside, like the assistant U.S. attorney in L.A., Bill Asaley, say, I want to audit. Oh, no, and we'll take you to court to prevent you from accessing our records. So nobody's interested on the inside, and people are pushed out if they try to get in from the outside. Hey, but where's your evidence? Well, golly gee, you won't let federal prosecutors in to look at your system and the results it produces, so it's difficult. I mean, we got Nick Shirley going door to door. We got some sheriffs saying, I see Pakistani nationals voting here and voting there. I mean, so there's anecdotal evidence, of course. And then when you find anecdotal evidence, the 126-year-old Doris, what do they say? Oh, it's a one-off. That's not evidence of systemic fraud. Then the standard moves from fraud to, it's got to be systemic. If it's not systemic, what are we talking about? Of course, no system is perfect. That's a one-off. It doesn't happen so infrequently. So the system is the fraud. So Harry Enton, back to CNN. This is the other play that they're making right now. Dumbest conspiracy ever. Pratt's a Republican. Karen Bass wanted to run against Pratt. Makes no sense.
The president says that it's rigged somehow. It's not. This is just the way they do it. But the thing is, the person who might be most upset about all of this, not a Republican, but the incumbent mayor of Los Angeles, Democrat Karen Bass. With us now is Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton. What am I talking about here?
Yeah, this is the dumbest conspiracy theory I have ever heard, because the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass wanted Spencer Pratt in the runoff. They don't want any part to do with Nithya Raman. Why is that? Because just take a look here. Okay, mayor runoff polls, Bass versus opponent versus Pratt. Bass would have crushed Pratt by 18 points. That's what the polling showed. Look at how she does against Nithya Raman, on the other hand. Raman is ahead by 4 points. Bass has a real race on her hand if, in fact, Raman is the one who advances. And, of course, the Democratic establishment is backing Karen Bass. But versus Spencer Pratt, she was crushing him. She wanted to face Pratt. She wanted nothing to do with Raman. That's why these conspiracy theories, simply put, make no sense, people.
Yeah, okay, people. So, Harry, as much as I love his theatrics, stick to analyzing the numbers and not understanding the politics. So now you have the Cuban Marxist and a DSA candidate running to her left, next gen. You think that it's only the government unions that can manipulate California election laws? They didn't even need to do any heavy lifting. These DSA candidates that are popping up all over the place, particularly in urban centers, your Mamdanis, your BLM Brandons, your Katie Wilsons. Sometimes everybody's aligned, sometimes they aren't. I mean, talking about the government unions with the neo-Marxist revolutionary grassroots types. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not quite. So you don't think that you can have independent plays for the more radical left, next-gen radical leftists, as opposed to the old school Soviet Karen Bass? So, you know, the concept of a power struggle for hegemony within the ranks of the Revolutionary Party is something we shouldn't consider? No, I think it's something we should. Very much the case. And by the way, you have removed the spectacle of Spencer Pratt, who is a wild card. Yeah, you know, Spencer Pratt was going to be a significant underdog in a runoff, no question. But it's still a wild card, and it's 5 months of daily embarrassment for that Democrat socialist power structure. They don't get next gen, they get embarrassed, and they perhaps can get flipped if enough of a groundswell occurs. Stranger things have happened in L.A. It took the riots to get Reardon. It may have taken the Palisades fire to get Pratt, but for the system being the fraud. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Alex Marlow cuts through the political spin on the Alex Marlow podcast.
The lawfare superstructure is the single biggest threat to President Trump. And that's why it's important that we figure out how to run up the score as much as we can while their bench is so lame and while we have the opportunity to add seats via redistricting and make sure that we make this Trump presidency as successful as possible so that we never relinquish power back to these people.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:36 for something completely different, we'll talk to a Christian libertarian environmentalist, capitalist lunatic farmer. Whew, had to take a breath. That's a mouthful in terms of describing our next guest. We'll do that at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
6:34. Expect a thunderstorm in parts of our area this morning. Otherwise warm and humid for the afternoon, a high of 88. Our top story in the QC Kinetics newsroom, one man is dead, 3 others wounded in a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say a 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on the sidewalk last night in the first block of North Lockwood Avenue. Someone in a passing SUV opened fire and shot them. No arrests have been made. Primaries being held in 4 states today: North Dakota, South Carolina, Nevada, and Maine. Here's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal.
Fascism is what we are up against.
One Maine voter explained why he thinks Plattner's many controversies, including a Nazi tattoo Plattner says he's since covered, aren't problematic for many Democratic voters.
They want to get rid of Susan Collins, take over the Senate, and that's the bottom line. He could be Adolf Hitler. It doesn't matter who he is.
His primary opponents include government worker and previous Senate candidate David Costello. While Governor Janet Mills' name remains on the ballot, she suspended her campaign in April over a lack of funding. The Republican incumbent Senator Susan Collins has no primary challenger. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
OpenAI has filed to take its stock public. It comes weeks after the company's rival, Anthropic, made the same move. A group of former Chicago federal prosecutors are taking aim at U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros. More than 100 former prosecutors released a letter saying the actions of Boutros and other leaders have tarnished the reputation of the U.S. Attorney's office. An historic building in South Bend, the century-old Lafayette Building, badly damaged by a fire on Monday. Flames were brought under control around 11 a.m. The building has been declared unsafe. There was no one inside the building and no one injured fighting that fire. White Sox host the Braves tonight. Cubs begin a 6-game road swing with a game at Coors Field against the Rockies. At 6:36, we'll have a check of the roads coming your way in 2 minutes on AM 560.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at mvpcfp.com. That's mvpcfp.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to mvpcfp.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Can you give our listeners some examples of how you've helped clients over the years?
A couple of your listeners called in. They're a married couple. They're in their 60s. They were really concerned and tired of trying to manage their own investments. So their accounts were quite big, but they felt like they needed a little help with it so they didn't screw up at this stage of the game. So they couldn't afford to lose any money in the market moving forward, and trying to manage retirement on a fixed income was kind of a daunting task for them. So with about $1.5 million in 401k savings and other stocks and bonds, we rearranged their portfolio so that they had guaranteed future income, less volatility in the market, and of course tax savings. So now they have this peace of mind because they know that they have a protect and grow blueprint.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell them I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
6:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of rockauto.com. A bent tie rod can really quickly bring a drive to a halt. For the parts you need to get back on the road, visit rockauto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices delivered right to your door. All the parts you will ever need at Rock Auto. Accident on the Tri-State this morning. 294 northbound right before the Lincoln Oasis. Your stop and go from 8094. The Reagan I-88 stop and go traffic on the brakes eastbound between Route 83 and the Tri-State. North Center Community accident, Irving Park and Western this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Thunderstorm throughout the day, otherwise warm and humid. We'll hit a high of 88.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. How to save American farming. Very interesting piece in The Spectator that argues for farmers and policymakers, for that matter, it's time to get back to both the market and the land. What exactly does that mean? Well, Let's ask the author of that piece I'm referencing. Joel Salatin is the owner of Polyface Farm. He terms himself a Christian, libertarian, environmentalist, capitalist, lunatic farmer. Okay. And he's serious about it because he writes at thelunaticfarmer.com. So that is self-titled. Joel Salatin, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. It's an honor to be with you.
Great to have you. So let's take this at least in 2 parts, if not more. The market and the land. Let's start with the market. And I mean, I know from your piece, but it's sort of, we have an intelligent audience. I think they know where you're going with this, which is in part subsidies, the dizzying array of subsidies, price supports, whatever term you want to apply to them, and the arbitrary nature of said in farming.
Yeah, so the subsidies are protecting farmers from the reality of their bad decisions. I mean, this latest round with soybean subsidies, $12 billion. What it does is it wraps these farmers in insulation from the consequences of their decision. The fact is, the world is awash in soybeans. We don't need soybean. And so for the farmers to demand that they get paid for something that we have too much of is just ridiculous. And instead of adapting to the market, that's the reality of market, they're saying, look, I'm a soybean farmer. I want to be paid for growing soybeans, not looking at the market and say, well, what does the market need? And so the subsidies skew. They skew they skew the market, they skew farmers' decisions, and it completely changes the economics of farming when you have that kind of government interventive performance.
Well, one of the other things you argue is, which stands to reason, which is it also it leads to misallocation of resources and mismanagement of land.
Yes, absolutely. So what America needs right now is cows. You know, we've got the lowest herd numbers since before 1950, and of course, you know what's happening to the price of beef and ground beef and everything in the marketplace. The big processors are losing a lot of money, and so, but there is no subsidy for cows. You see. And so this is the reality of what subsidies do: is they so prejudice the market that we taxpayers end up subsidizing billions of dollars to something we don't need, while something we do need langers, and that's unfortunate.
I mean, I know you're an active farmer. You supply restaurants and such. I read in your bio. So what do you grow or raise?
So we're in pastured livestock. So we have beef, pork, chicken, lamb, duck, turkey, and we direct market everything. We do sell some wholesale, both to restaurants and to some boutique groceries, but we're primarily direct market. We ship nationwide, and it's GMO free, glyphosate free, vaccine free. Medication free. We don't use antibiotics, so it's a whole different ball. And stuff is raised. These animals are raised out on pasture rather than in confinement. Big confinement buildings.
Well, so talk to that, because as I said at the outset, get back to the market and get back to the land. So this is the getting back to the land part in particular, and as a layman. I mean, tell us why you take that approach to raising the livestock that you raise, and why the chemical approach is less productive and healthy, maybe.
Yeah, well, look, we are not primarily unpronounceable chemicals. I'm a big believer we probably shouldn't eat things that weren't available before about the year 1900. what happens is when you confine these animals in hog farms, poultry farms, feedlots with cows, you have rampant disease because you can't put that many animals right on top of each other with that kind of fecal particulate in the air that they're breathing and expect them to be healthy. So then you have to use all sorts of interventive mechanisms, antibiotics and things to try to keep them healthy. And so we have our animals out on the fields, which is more similar. It's biomimicry, if you want the scientific term. It's expressing. It's actually using the kind of model that nature uses. In nature, animals move. They're not confined. They have space. They do mob and flock and herd up, but they're moving, doing that. So they're going to new places in their herd, their mob, their whatever it is. And of course, especially for cows, for cattle, they are herbivores, and they're essentially portable sauerkraut vats, taking cellulitic structure and converting it into meat and milk, which a human can't do. So the ruminant animal is an amazing critter, and that's the bison that roamed the Native American prairie. They did very fine and built the soils that we are still mining today with corn and soybeans.
Well, everything I know about cattle and livestock, I learned by watching Yellowstone. So it's not very much, admittedly. But this is fascinating. I mean, with technological advancement and chemical advancement, you write 500 years ago, North America produced more food than it does today. That seems. I think that just seems counterintuitive given, 500 years ago versus today with all of, as I said, the advancements that we have. How is that possible?
Well, it's possible because the natural choreography is incredibly synergistic and symbiotic. So now that food was not eaten by people 500 years ago, but we had 1 to 200 million bison. We had 2 million wolves that ate almost 20 pounds of meat a day. We had, when the Lewis and Clark expedition went out from St. Louis, they said from St. Louis to the Pacific Ocean, they encountered one bear every single mile, and that was just the bears that they saw. Bears eat a lot, and so the bear population was huge. There were 200 to 400 million beavers who ate more vegetables. They're herbivores. They ate more vegetables than all the people in North America today. The bird populations were so large that Audubon sat under a tree in Massachusetts in about 1800. He recorded in his diary, he said, "I couldn't see the sun for 3 days for the flock of birds that flew over. They were passenger pigeons, and of course they're extinct today." And so the sheer volume, and I haven't even talked about elk and deer and turkey and things like that. So the sheer volume that was produced at that time was now, anthropology and archaeology has pretty much confirmed through consensus that there was actually more nutrition produced 500 years ago in North America than there is today. And that should give us pause to ask a question, how can we return to that abundance? And that's the question on our farm's mind all the time is, how do we return to that level of abundance? The North American landscape was 8% water from beaver ponds. Today we're less than 4%. And of course, that water would have created aquifer replenishing, evapotranspiration, cloud formation, changed ambient temperatures. There's a lot of ameliorating effects of having that much water on the surface. So, it was a very different landscape. And of course, Native Americans managed it with fire and with very careful, strategic, manipulation of the landscape. They didn't have tractors and saws and plows, but they were very strategic about how they handled the landscape.
Well, sure, but there are trade-offs. I mean, there are trade-offs with respect to development, with respect to technological innovation, with respect to population growth over the course of centuries. And so the landscape is inevitably going to change. I guess my question is, so where do you and I get the mindset is how do we make things more abundant? So where do you come down in terms of the integration of, technological advancements in farm equipment, combined maybe even these days with robotics and AI? Is that a part of your business?
Yeah, well, we're not into AI too much, but for sure, we have right now to show integration. We're spending $7 to $10 billion a year dealing with wildfires, forest fires that are primarily caused by environmentalists who shut down radical environmentalists who shut down the chainsaws, and the biomass proliferates, and then everything goes up in smoke. If we would crank up the chainsaws and the chippers to actually harvest that biomass for composting, we could eliminate the entire chemical fertilizer budget of the United States, and we would actually grow soil and feed earthworms and have soil development instead of soil depletion, and that would be a major change of integrating our technology with nature, with the biomass, with the solar energy that's produced in solar energy. When it comes to cattle, typically, cattle, they're going to destroy the planet, but there was way more weight of animal in the world 500 years ago than there is today. So clearly it's not animals, it's the way animals are managed. So in nature, animals move, mob, and mow. They're pushed by predators and by fire and by flies and things. And so on our farm, we move the cows every day from paddock to paddock to paddock to paddock, and that allows the forages to grow in their rapid growth cycle between early and late, and so we're strategically pruning as opposed to just putting them out and overgrazing, which is what's done by 95% of the cattle in the U.S. are overgrazing, whether it's federal land, private land, or whatever. They're just turned out on a field, and that's not the way nature handled it. Nature moved these herds along, and that allowed the grass, the forages to regrow and rest between prunings.
This is really interesting. I've got a lot of questions for you, but unfortunately, we're up against it. If either Doug Burgum or Brooke Collins leave the administration, I'm going to nominate you for Interior or Secretary of Ag. If you got some extra time on your hands, this is really interesting. I want to. We'll have you back because there's something we didn't get to, unfortunately. But just to put it out there, is the consolidation of ownership in farmland, and I did want to talk to you about that, but that's going to have to wait for another time. Joel Salatin is the owner of Polyface Farm. He's a Christian, libertarian, environmentalist, capitalist, lunatic farmer, and you can read his writings at thelunaticfarmer.com, thelunaticfarmer.com. Joel Salatin, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Every morning, students and faculty fill your school's hallways. And every morning, parents trust you to know who's there with them. With ID Supply, that trust is earned and visible. From student and staff ID cards to secure visitor badge systems, ID Supply helps you instantly identify who belongs on campus at a glance, while keeping your entire facility safer. Visitor badges expire automatically, so no one stays longer than they should. And parents, they can feel confident knowing their school has a system in place. Need supplies? We've got you covered. ID card printers, ribbons, and custom lanyards in your school colors. Most orders ship same day. Parents, if your child's school doesn't have a visitor ID system, ask them about ID Supply, because knowing who's on campus shouldn't be a question. Get 10% off your first order with code SCHOOL10. That's SCHOOL10. Visit idsupply.com or call 800-647-5562. Again, that's 800-647-5562. ID Supply. trusted by schools for over 20 years.
The Matrix is Penny Mustard's most popular TV stand.
No way. It's a computer-generated simulation.
How do you know?
Look closely at the Matrix. See all the pixels?
Those aren't pixels.
That's wood grain.
The Matrix TV stand is handcrafted from solid wood.
Built to your specifications and TV size.
Yeah, right. That's what they want you to believe.
Come see the totally real and wildly popular Matrix TV stand, starting at $28.44 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know. And Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Located in Crawfordsville, Indiana, Wabash College was the institution, ancient even by 1951 standards, that in the film Hoosiers, the always pleasant Myra Fleener wanted Jimmy Chitwood to apply to for an academic scholarship so he could, quote, get out of this place, end quote. But the actual town of Wabash, Indiana, is famous for something else, being the first city in the entire world to light itself up with electricity. If satellites ever time travel back to March 31st, 1880, rural Indiana would have briefly looked like Seoul and the rest of the country like North Korea, because Wabash, as my students would say, was lit. The initial exciting reaction quickly dampened, though, as some felt it was unnatural light, stayed away. Ladies used umbrellas to shield themselves. Local farmers felt it caused problems for livestock. A more scientific argument against it, though, was that the direct current required to generate and distribute the electricity would be both physically impossible and too costly to replicate in every town. Thankfully, though, science is never really settled. Nikola Tesla quickly developed his more efficient alternating current, which was later bought and distributed by George Westinghouse. Problem solved. And electrical generation and distribution, although a tech that transformed the landscape physically, has created such positive externalities and multidisciplinary effects that today the world would fall apart without it. Data centers are the newest technology to be pilloried. Concerns over rising electric bills and heavy usage of water have created a political issue such that our worried governor, J. Bob, unilaterally paused all state incentives for the building of them. But as ugly as these data centers are, they will eventually be transformed themselves by better tech, just like AC dispatched DC. And their positive effects will go in so many directions, including driverless cars, that the real DC, with its cumbersome and dumb bureaucracies, will be akin to Wile E. Coyote, unable to catch the Roadrunner.
Very good, Frank. Yes, Wabash College, in addition to the Jimmy Chitwood reference, which, of course, I love, notable graduates of Wabash College include...
That I don't know. I know it started 1832, but go ahead.
One, Indiana Governor Mike Braun, who's about to light up Northwest Indiana, light up Hammond with the bright lights of the NFL. How about that?
I do like that. I like a term that your previous caller used: move, mob, and mow. I think that has to be the phrase to describe some of our the Democratic Party and the way that it runs elections. Move, mob, and mow.
Move, mob, and mow. And also, the leftists have a herd mentality, so it's a perfect metaphor. Yeah,
it is.
It's good to pick up on that. Very, very well done, Frank. I'm glad you're listening.
Tech will fix the elections. Like online bill pay, eventually blockchain will make elections so obvious that you have to have blockchain ID somehow. That'll destroy their whole system.
All right, Frank. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
The main event. I'm Chris Foster of Fox News. Today's Senate primary in Maine is the most closely watched nationally of the races in 4 states. Democrats there deciding how much they care about controversies attached to oyster farmer and Army combat veteran Graham Plattner.
The latest rough headline comes via Plattner's former political director. Genevieve McDonald writes, Graham Plattner is not someone who would be good for Maine or for the country. He exhibits a pattern of dishonest behavior that is impossible to ignore. Plattner has said the claims are politically motivated as fellow progressives back his run. The winning Democrat will face longtime Republican Senator Susan Collins, lesser-known candidate David Costello, and the state's Governor Janet Mills are also on the ballot. Plattner has pulled far ahead, but the voters decide today.
It's Fox's Molly Line. In Portland, Maine, Trump-endorsed North Dakota House Republican Julie Fedorchak faces a primary challenge from state party-endorsed Alex Balazs.
Anti-establishment Republicans also challenging Lindsey Graham in the U.S. Senate in South Carolina, where President Trump has also backed current Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette. In Nevada, polling shows Republican Governor Joe Lombardo expected to ward off primary challengers as Democrats also choose between several candidates to score the party's nomination. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The Los Angeles mayor's race is set. It'll be incumbent Karen Bass against another Democrat.
Progressive City Council member Nithya Raman will advance, and that means that former reality TV star Spencer Pratt is out. Voters are also waiting on the results of the Golden State's governor's race. Former State Attorney General Javier Becerra is in the lead. Two candidates will emerge in the race, Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Tom Steyer, still in the running.
Fox's Alex Hogan. Two crew members are rescued after an Army helicopter crash near the coast of Oman. U.S. Central Command says the cause of the crash is under investigation. President Trump tells reporters the crew members are fine, and a report on the crash will be issued today. America's listening to Fox News.
72 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Our top story in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A 13-year-old boy is charged in a shooting that left 4 other boys wounded on the south side over the weekend. Police say the teen shot an 11-year-old, 2 13-year-olds, and a 14-year-old Saturday night. All 4 victims this morning are hospitalized in good condition. 1 man is dead, 3 others wounded in a shooting last night on the city's west side. A 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on a sidewalk last night when they were shot along North Lockwood Avenue when a passing SUV opened fire and hit them. A memorial ride honored a Chicago bike safety advocate last night, Riley O'Neill.
While the circumstances around Riley's death are tragic, the situation is made all the more painful because his death, like so many others, did not need to happen.
Last Friday, the 35-year-old CDOT employee was biking along Halsted in the Bridgeport neighborhood when a car's driver opened their door, causing O'Neill to lose control and fall into a lane of traffic where he was hit. The driver backed into an UPS store in Shorewood Monday afternoon, pinning an employee beneath that vehicle. Authorities say fire department personnel freed the worker, transported to an area hospital with serious lower extremity injuries. Chicago sports. Spurs finally on the board in the NBA Finals. They beat the Knicks 115-111 at MSG. Sox and Braves tonight. Cubs and Rockies from Coors Field. And the Bears begin mandatory minicamp at Hallis Hall. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets at 560theanswer.com/join. We'll have a check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlow sees a renewed Democrat Party.
We're going to have a renewed focus on voters in Middle America and the South. How they do that, I don't know. No one knows. They certainly don't know. Do you think that a party that is run where its entire leadership is from the Manhattan area and all of its major presidential candidates seem to be from places like California, do you feel like that perhaps that party could be out of touch? Well, apparently it is.
The Alex Marlow Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Let me ask you something. Does your garage floor look bad? Covered in salt, cracked, or stained from the winter's brutal blast? Well, I've got a fix for you so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom, shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution. Guaranteed to never chip or peel. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith and bring hope into your everyday life. Whether you're searching for encouragement, biblical wisdom, or practical guidance, intouch.org is here to help you grow closer to God's promises. Discover truth that speaks to your heart. Visit intouch.org today.
Meet Keith. He runs a 30-acre ranch. 8 years ago, his knees started giving out.
Climbing a ladder was almost impossible. If I could get down, I have to have something next to me to get up.
Keith's wife had a knee replacement. The recovery was hard and the results not great. Keith wanted another way.
I won't go under the knife because I believe the body can do whatever it needs to do to heal itself.
Surgery wasn't the answer. QC Kinetics was. They're regenerative treatments. No surgery, no long recovery.
After the first one, the inflammation dropped 90%. Today, my knees are just amazing. I could not do what I've done if I had not gotten treatments to QC Kinetics. I just pray that my physical model continues to go and help other people.
Maybe that's you. Tired of dealing with the joint pain? Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261.
7:07. Let's get an update of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the AM 560 store with t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. Go to 560theanswer.com/store. Delays on 8094 westbound. Solid traffic this morning between Calumet Avenue and the Bishop Ford. Route 53 jams up northbound, stop and go between the Ike and Kirchhoff. Tri-State. An accident on 294 northbound with two left lanes blocked just before the Lincoln Oasis. And delays as well as you start your trip on the Ike outbound between Cicero and 9th Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a chance of morning thunderstorms in some areas. Otherwise, it will be very warm and humid with varying cloud cover. The high will reach 88 degrees. Tonight, anticipate partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions, along with a chance of thunderstorms in some spots. The low will be around 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We'll talk about midterms. We've got some additional DSA candidates to introduce you to as part of the nationwide branding of this revolutionary neo-Marxist party. But first, just picking up on where we left off at the end of the hour. Move, mob, mo. We got that fun phrase from Joel Salatin talking about herd animals that he raises. Dave from Geneva, move, mob, mo. Sounds like Pritzker working his way through an old country buffet. Yeah, well, herd animals, one-man herd. Okay, I don't know. I assume everybody's had time to read the platform that came out of the Twin Cities Democrat Socialists confab this weekend. Everybody is up to speed on that. Well, let me just make sure in case you haven't. There's I won't get into all of the, decolonize the land business and return it to, indigenous peoples that may or may not still exist in the land of 10,000 lakes. But on the economic front, we'll build an economy that serves the needs of the many by taxing the rich and putting workers in control of our livelihoods. Living wage of at least $20 an hour for all workers. Fair working hours. A legal limit of 32-hour work week. With compensation for lost overtime and no reduction in overall pay. So, 32-hour work week mandate. If you're working 40 now and you're legally reduced to 32, same compensation for your 40-hour work week. And same compensation for any overtime you lose, even if you don't work over. Okay. Yeah. Right. Municipal control. Take into public ownership key industries and workplaces in the Twin Cities necessary for human life, dignity, and flourishing. Now, again, this is the Twin Cities offering, but you can cut and paste this, and you just have to replace Chicago with Twin Cities, and you would get the same document. Take into public ownership key industries and workplaces that are necessary for human life, dignity, and flourishing. It's pretty broad, but look at what Mamdani's doing in New York with his proposal to seize land from private property from landlords. Look what Brandon Johnson has proposed with the backdoor rent control ordinance in Chicago. Same deal. Free universal health care, obviously. Please. Is that even an argument anymore? Come on. Free quality education. Free and quality, you're going to run into power. Union power, expand the rights of all workers. Can you expand them anymore? You can just give them other people's stuff. That's about all you can do in terms of expansion these days. And provide public support and education to transition privately owned workplaces into worker cooperatives, from each according to their needs, of course. Provide tax incentives that reduce taxes on worker-owned enterprises. Raise taxes when these enterprises are in private hands, and then reduce the taxes once they have been transferred to public, to the community, to the collective. This is all part of the warm embrace of collectivism. Yeah. Also, on the freedom and liberty front, some of the cultural features of the platform. Pay attention. I mean, this is the platform of 40% of Chicago City Council, roughly. It's a platform of JB and BJ, not formally, but informally. Look at the policies they propose and bump this up against the platform and see where, if any, the inconsistencies lie. I challenge you. Queer liberation. Defend Minnesota's status as a sanctuary for trans and queer internal refugees. I saw queer liberation going on with the kids in Park Ridge over the weekend. See, we're on board, and it's not just the big city. All these awful, controlled suburban communities right there with you. Racial justice, of course, we're still combating structural racism. Implement reparations that address historical seizure of wealth from racialized communities. That leaves intense disparities today. Reparations, of course. Socialist feminism, my favorite kind. End patriarchal oppression and domestic violence, which are synonyms, of course. Implement full parental leave. Expand and redistribute community care work equally across all genders. Expand and redistribute community care work equally across all genders, all of them. All 6 of them? Is that what Jimmy Jimmy, the number he put down? I think he's undershooting it, but it's a start. Publicly funded elections and private donations that allow the wealthy and corporate interests to buy our elections, unless it's their wealthy and their corporations. That's unspoken. And then you have to halt the fascist and imperial war machine at home and abroad. That means abolishing ICE and the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security and resisting fascism. Stop kidnapping our neighbors. Return anyone who's been deported. Anyone. Return anyone who's been deported. Yeah. Defend against incursions by state or federal forces to undermine democracy. Free Palestine. It's important in Minnesota that Palestine, which doesn't exist, be freed from self-rule. But okay, sure. Let's see, what else do we got there? There's a lot. And divest from the war economy. And any and all support for and divest from companies in Minnesota engaged in weapons development for the United States military that enable war crimes domestically or abroad. So abolish ICE, abolish the military, defund the police, so on and so forth. Now we're really cooking with fire. Okay, so there's your platform for some of the candidates that you'll see on the November ballot in Illinois. Many of them. They're the ones with the D next to their name. That's how you know. They're on the ballot today in places like Maine with our friend, the reform Nazi Graham Plattner. Interesting interview that the Wall Street Journal got with the two Democrat Socialist candidate recruitment people, the Kliegels, if you will, of the Democrat Socialists of America, who recruited Graham Plattner to run for Senate. They saw a lot of promise in him. And they talked about, doing their due diligence, hiring an Oppo guy to make sure that they kicked the tires with Graham Plattner before they made him their guy. They had another guy, apparently, but he had too many skeletons in his closet as compared to Graham Plattner. Boy, I'd love to see the profile of the other guy. Anyway, listen to these two. And by the way, if you can hear it in the soy boy's voice, but if you saw these two, you would say, I bet those are candidate recruiters for the Democrat Socialists of America. This is exactly what I pictured when I hear that, that phrase, when I think of those types of individuals. And this is what they had to say about Plattner.
At this point, you hadn't vetted Graham Plattner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him? And why did you?
We paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back. Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that became so controversial?
No.
The Reddit posts, did that turn up in the vetting process?
Thinking.
The firm sent us a thing, and it had some of the posts, but it didn't have all of them.
And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
I said none of this will or should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your thinking there?
Agree. I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this country off a cliff for the last century.
This is, sounds like he's either about to cry or he's going through puberty. It sounded like the When It's Time to Change episode of the Brady Bunch. Got to rearrange. Okay. Those are your DSA recruiters. So they're, hey, you don't want candidates grown in a vat who haven't lived in the real world, who haven't been through stuff like Graham Plattner. He has, been in the darkness, and he emerged with a Nazi tattoo. Now he's good to go. Okay, speaking of the Nazi tattoo, here's your base Graham Plattner voter. This is not just Maine, but maybe it's particular to Maine, which I was reminded yesterday, I think is the second most godless state in America by, self-identification of religiosity. Do you believe in God? Do you go to church? Vermont, I think, is number one, Bernie Sanders. Maine is number two, Stephen King. Makes sense. Nazi tattoo, not disqualifying. But there is a tattoo that would be disqualifying to the Graham-Plattner voter. But don't read anything into this in terms of the quality of the quality of the thinking among this slice of the electorate.
Totem Pope tattoo, the Nazi tattoo. How do you kind of...
Somebody said that they talked to somebody who had seen one of those or wore one of those, and it was silver, and it didn't even occur to him that it was the same thing. I think people are making as much of it as they can because they don't have a lot of substance around anything else. And if they did, we'd hear about it, believe me. They are trolling for dirt.
What if he had like a Israeli flag tattoo or something? Would that be a deal breaker?
For me?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
That would be
Israeli? Yeah, because I don't support genocide, and he doesn't either. And that would show that he was being inconsistent. And he's been very consistent about that. Straight across the board.
Nazi tattoo, not a problem. Israeli flag tattoo, that's a problem. The Nazi tattoo doesn't indicate a support for genocide. The Israeli flag tattoo does. This is who you're dealing with. Okay. So where we're going to find common ground, come together as a community, common ground, middle ground, whatever euphemism you prefer with that woman. That's a tall order. That's a tall order. But these are the candidates that the DSA is pumping out all over the place. Another DSA candidate is this state rep in Colorado named Manny Rutnell. He is the favorite to face off against Gabe Evans for the congressional seat currently held by Gabe Evans, Republican in Colorado. This is one of those few swing districts come November. You know, there's less than 24, according to the Cook Report and some other estimates. And he, like Low T Jimmy down in Texas, is in full reverse to the positions he's taken, to the things he's done prior to being a DSA-backed candidate for Congress. You got to, put the sheep's clothing on. Do you still think that what we were just talking about with our friend Joel Salatin, you still think ranching, animal agriculture, if you will, it's a horrible, inhumane, exploitive industry running in a district where got a lot of ranchers?
You told the Yale Big Ag and Antitrust Conference in 2021 that, quote, the factory farming of animals is one of the largest sources of suffering on the planet. You also said, quote, animal agriculture is a horrific, exploitative industry. Feel free to take a minute on this. Do you still believe what you said? And how will that affect the way that you lead?
Look, farmers and ranchers are my friends. I've been honored to be supported by United Farm Workers, United Food and Commercial Workers, which represents the meat packers over at JBS in Greeley. I will always fight for our ranchers and farmers. And right now, Donald Trump and Gabe Evans are creating terrible conditions for them with their chaotic and corrupt tariff policies.
Would you mind answering the question, though, of whether you still believe that animal agriculture is a horrific, exploitative industry?
Colorado ranchers and farmers are the envy of the world. They have the best practices, the most sustainable practice. They produce the best product. I will always fight for them.
So voters are left to try and discern whether you still believe that and you won't tell them, or whether you've changed your mind. There's certainly nothing wrong with changing your mind, and if you have, I'd like to ask you why. But I'll ask you again, do you still believe that animal agriculture is a horrific, exploitative industry?
No, I think that Colorado ranchers and farmers are the envy of the world. They produce the best product, not just across the country, but across the world.
Good for that debate moderator for pressing the issue. No, of course I don't. No. And boy, farmers and ranchers in that district in Colorado, I'm sure you're convinced that he's your buddy. He respects you. He would never do anything averse to your interests. No. Oh, it's not just ranchers and farmers he's got to make amends with. It's also the oil and gas industry, which is, it's important there, too.
Mr. Root, 7 years ago, as a student at Yale, you got arrested for storming a football field during a game for a protest against oil and gas. You are now running to represent a district that is a big oil and gas producer. Question, do you still believe, as your group said that day, hey, hey, ho, ho, fossil fuels have got to go?
For that protest, I was a legal observer. I was making sure that folks were safe.
I was a legal observer. Of course you were. Making sure everybody was safe. Oil and gas people are my friends. They're the envy of the world. Recite the lines. Automaton, DSA automaton. I mean, if you can't see these DSA drones coming from a mile away, then there is something really wrong with your receptors. One more, because this is really special. Candidate for Congress in Massachusetts, Beth is running to replace Seth Moulton, who's running for Senate. Boy, this would be an interesting handoff from a special forces guy to Beth. Bethany Andres Beck for Congress. BethForDemocracy.com if you're interested in her campaign. His campaign. I'm not sure. Well, I am. Bethany Andres Beck has like a billy goat beard and presents as a dude. Doesn't sound much like one, though. I mean, worse than that DSA recruiter with his, as somebody texted, I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah. Meet Beth.
My name is Beth, and I'm running for Congress in the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District. After Trump was elected, my representative, Seth Moulton, tried to throw trans kids under the bus for his political career. And that's why I stepped up to challenge him. Trans people aren't political props, and slapping a rainbow on a bomb isn't support. Congress needs to take real action.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have to see Beth in quotation marks to fully appreciate Beth. Seth Moulton, who is a ardent, over-the-top critic of Trump, not left enough. But 'tis the time for Beth and all of the other DSA men to prepare for political battle this midterm season. And they're getting ready with this sort of communal moment of solidarity. An interesting cover of Twisted Sister.
We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. We got the right to choose it.
You can, if you see the choreography, you'll appreciate it that much more.
This is our song. We'll fight the powers that be just. Don't think our destiny, 'cause you don't know us, you don't belong.
I mean, they're not bad for a glee club, but I don't think I'd want them making public policy. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan. So, Dan, these people are 100% out of the closet. Any question asked, they have a pat lie waiting to respond. And it appeared they're all using the Abigail Spanberger method. Just total bull crap about whatever it is you're going to do. And then once you get in there, just do whatever and look at her. No one's even really calling her out. So just everything you say, just lie as much as you want. And then once you get in there, just do whatever you want. And then you'll get the Kristen Welkers of the world saying, where's your proof? Where's your proof? the dam's got to break at some point, you would think.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, I mean, people are calling Spanberger out, but the point is calling her out. I mean, she should have known this was obviously going to happen. It was obviously going to happen. I mean, you watch these. Dude, she had a voting record in Congress. Oh, by the way, she didn't, just come here on a spaceship like Adam Silver. You knew what you were getting. Now, if you're willfully blind to it, well, that's on you. And that a lot of people are, because you're blinded by, Trump hatred or what have you, or the sentimental blather of the DSA set. I mean, but it's it's doing complete 180s like Low T Jimmy is doing in Texas on every issue. Border security, the front porch to the country. That's our southern border. Now I'm a border security Democrat. He loves the oil and gas industry. They're my friends, like that Yaley from Colorado. And he also opposes gender mutilation surgery, or child mutilation surgery, gender reassignment surgery for kids. He opposes that now. He voted against a bill as a state representative to ban it. And he, things he really loves includes trans children. So, complete 180s, or you do this routine. It's sort of the Graham Plantner, sort of a version of the Graham Plantner thing, where you don't recall, it was a dark period, I didn't do that, sort of the denials and the misrememberings. This chick that we brought you yesterday, who's backed by Mamdani, who was out celebrating the slaughter of 1,200 people on October 7th of 2023 in Gaza, she doesn't remember, and who hates America, literally what she said. She doesn't remember her tweets from a couple of years ago. Remember this name. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets in and joins AOC and company. Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier.
Daria Lisa, can you respond to past comments that you said the U.S. was a, quote, disgrace, and you also you said the U.S. bullied Russia? Politico reported that this morning. Would you like to clarify those comments?
I'm not sure what the context of those comments was coming from.
Your tweets from 2022?
I do not remember what the context of those tweets in 2022
Don't remember the context of the tweets. The U.S. is an effing disgrace. I don't remember the context of that. 2022, it was a dark period in her life, I'm sure. She's feeling much better now. There's your DSA dream team, or a portion of it, for 2026. Boy, I hope the GOP puts all these people together and does the branding for them. All right, coming up at 7:37, turn our attention to all things Illinois policy with Mark Glennon from wirepoints.org. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
7:33 in Chicago, 72 degrees, warm and humid this morning, a chance of some turbulent weather this afternoon. In our QC Kinetics newsroom, one man is dead, 3 others wounded. It's all part of a shooting that took place last night on Chicago's west side. A 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on the sidewalk last night along North Lockwood Avenue. Someone in a passing SUV opened fire. One of the men, transported to an area hospital, was later pronounced dead. 20,000 people have had to leave their homes after yesterday's earthquake in the Philippines. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
The 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Mindanao, the second most populated island in the Philippines archipelago. At least 37 people were killed by collapsing buildings and landslides. Many left coastal homes fearing a tsunami, but the 4.5-foot waves caused minimal damage. The quake struck on the first day back at school for students following a 2-month break. Many of the injured were youngsters gathered for morning assemblies. About 6,000 public school buildings will now need to be assessed before classes can resume. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
And near West Cuba this morning, a 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck, causing tremors across southern Florida. 2 U.S. service members have been safely rescued after their Apache helicopter went down near the Strait of Hormuz. A soccer referee sent to work at the World Cup here in the United States is not allowed in. Somalia's Omar Artan was denied entry when he arrived at Miami International Airport from Turkey. spokesman for Customs and Border Protection, says he was considered inadmissible after additional screening revealed vetting concerns tied to his nationality from Somalia. A group of former Chicago federal prosecutors are taking aim at the U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros. More than 100 former prosecutors have signed a letter saying Boutros and other leaders have tarnished the reputation of the U.S. Attorney's Office, citing an exodus of leadership, grand jury irregularities, and an unusual number of collapsed cases. Baseball tonight, Sox and Braves, Cubs and Rockies from Coors Field, and the news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads coming your way in 2 minutes on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
I don't care what they are, a doctor, a lawyer, a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. If they're a Democrat, they're a frickin' criminal. They do nothing, good for nothing. They cannot tell the truth. They pretend to be what exactly? Anything other than what they are. The greatest political mafia this country's ever seen.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Since Illinois Democrats have no humility and never face repercussions for their terrible public policies, instead of being embarrassed by the announcement that the Bears intend to move to Indiana to build a new stadium, they are pointing fingers, suggesting that they still have time to make a deal. And in the case of Governor Pritzker, pretending that he puts taxpayers over billionaires. Maybe now is a good time to remind Pritzker that he gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Rivian and CCP-backed Goshen, and billions to support his green energy scams, and that the billionaire himself cheated on his property taxes. So he only selectively doesn't want tax breaks for billionaires. If the Bears follow through and do leave, it will be because they know there is no tax certainty in Illinois, and they will face lots more hurdles both building and operating the stadium. Unionized workforce, mandated diversity hiring, higher work comp and insurance costs, and new nickel and dime regulations every year. Now is a great time to draw a comparison between the pro-growth policies of our slimmer, sexier sister Indiana and Illinois' appetite for grease-laden power and political control. Indiana has an effective property tax rate of just 0.76%. Illinois is more than double at 1.8%, according to Tax Foundation. Indiana has 55% of the population of Illinois, but its general revenue budget is only 41% of Illinois'. Governor Pritzker likes to tout his rainy day fund, but despite being a much smaller state, Indiana has about the same amount in reserves. To be clear, the Bears shouldn't be handed massive taxpayer largesse, but the Democrats had a perfect opportunity in making a deal with the Bears to bring everyone together and make everyone happy over a property tax cap for all. And they blew it. I'm Jeannie Ives. Listen to The Real Story Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Picture this. Bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. 2 outs. And the IRS is on the hill throwing nothing but heat and chin music. Back taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens. You're down in the count. Time to call in a pinch hitter. At PJN Tax Solutions Group, we are your pinch hitter. We deal with the revenue officers so you don't have to. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. When the IRS tries to steal home with your paycheck, we throw them out. When they load the bases with bank levies and wage garnishments, we strike them out.
Strike 3, you're out.
It's a full count and the game is on the line. Are you stepping up alone or are you bringing in a professional? Call PJN Tax Solutions Group now. 630-415-5296. Again, 630-415-5296. Or just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
740 Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of True Green. True Green's biggest sale of the year is here, so you can stop wasting your weekends doing your own lawn care. Sign up to get 50% off lawn care this summer and let the pros do the work. Sign up at truegreen.com by June 23rd to get 50% off this summer. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Just a reminder to our friends in Joliet, the Ruby Street Bridge is currently closed and out of service, causing some delays this morning. Stop and go on I-88 eastbound right at Midwest Road. An accident on Lakeshore Drive northbound at 57. Delays and stop and go traffic on the Ike coming inbound between Harlem and Ashland Avenue, and stop and go delays on the Eden Spur between Waukegan Road and the Edens Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Thunderstorms crossing the area this morning, otherwise warm and humid this afternoon, and a high of 88.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. In the mayor's race, starting to take form, Susana Mendoza, the Illinois comptroller, career politician. She is taking a fairly aggressive pro-law enforcement line, relative to what we're used to hearing from Chicago politicians, that's for sure. Probably a more direct and supportive line than you'll hear from anybody else in the race, including Mimbo Ali G, who is seems to be starting to gear up as well. Mendoza was on a News Nation the other day talking about law enforcement in Chicago and said this.
So I have full faith and confidence in our Chicago Police Department. They're the best of the best. We have an incredible, I believe, the best superintendent of police across this nation. What we don't have is an administration on the fifth floor that believes in holding criminals accountable. And so it has led to our police officers being surrounded by people when they're in their vehicles, throwing tear gas at the officers, using fire extinguishers. Imagine a scenario where that is the case in any other city. And it's hard to imagine because it's not happening, because a normal administration would make sure that our officers are in fact enforcing the law instead of falling victims to it. So look, I have full faith and confidence in our police. If they are allowed to do their jobs, they will do a magnificent job. And all the proof you need of that is how our police officers were on full display during the Democratic National Convention. We know they're capable of the best work. We have to let them do their jobs.
So that's not exactly the DSA lane that Susana Mendoza is choosing to take, which is probably smart given how many people will be trying to occupy that lane backed by the government unions come next winter. I mean, the primary is February of next year. It's right around the corner. Very interesting. I mean, I'm not over the moon with Mendoza, but I mean, you have to calibrate your expectations accordingly. And my expectations for the quality of the candidates in this field is very low. So she could end up being the proverbial tallest skyscraper in Wichita, as I sort of suspected she might, just because she's good on a couple of issues, even though she's been completely a tool of the political power structure for the last 2+ decades. So, let's, maintain proportionality here. But it is nice to hear, and I'm sure it is for Chicago police officers, that you have a potentially viable candidate for mayor that is not completely antagonistic to the idea of law enforcement and providing civilian political backing to law enforcement, because that hasn't been the case for quite some time. For more on this and other Illinois Policy Matters. Mark Glennon, founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, I'm with you exactly on your balanced description of Mendoza that you just gave. Her brother's a cop, I believe, and so she probably gets an earful of some common sense regularly that I'm sure helps. And she'll be an interesting case. I mean, she's a good vote getter statewide. She got more votes than anybody in recent elections. She got more votes than Pritzker statewide last time they ran. Although in Chicago, she, as you recall, didn't do very well. She didn't make it into the runoff last time around. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, comptroller, pretty low profile. She hasn't really been tested. Not much competition, and. I mean, and also, I wouldn't, but that's going to be the case for all of these candidates. I mean, there's not really much separation either. She's, Pritzker's comptroller, and she runs around touting her financial expertise, for lording over state that's a financial basket case. So that's not very persuasive.
Yeah, we've written a lot about that. She's been fully in line with Pritzker with peddling the baloney about how they've righted the ship financially, and it's all based on nonsense, of course. But I think she understands finance reasonably well. I think, on the other hand, why would you be running for mayor of Chicago if you really understand how bad it is? I mean, that's a serious question.
Well, what else is she going to do? I mean, again, did she ever have a private sector job? I mean, she started out as a state rep, and then, the relationships with Madigan and Burke are already being populated. But again, like there's any candidate, prospective candidate in the field whose name has been bandied about that doesn't come to the table with those same dirty hands.
Yeah. If you really go back into her background with Burke and everything, that's a long story, and I'm sure that's going to come up. We'll see.
Well, no question. But I mean, in terms of the names mentioned, starting with Ali G, because he's got all the cash from the combine types. I mean, Broadway Bank, Jaws Durango, the stuff that came up when he ran for U.S. Senate in 2010 against Mark Kirk, that's coming back, and it should come back because he hasn't really done anything since 2010 other than, rebound for Obama when he's in town at the East Bank Club and, get appointed effectively to Secretary of State where he provides driver's licenses for people in this country illegally. So it's not exactly the most brilliant record to run on either. This is just a guy who the combine knows will serve their interests well. He will be their front guy, and it will be business as usual. The appearance of change to protect continuity on the inside, generally speaking, but even more so, bring the old continuity back. Because the new continuity for a lot of these insiders has been not exactly their cohort of people, as Brandon Johnson has focused the grift on the Chicago Teachers Union and minority contractors to the exclusion of, the other ethnics that used to enjoy the run of the place.
And it's truly a historic turning point for Chicago and so many other cities. They are so poorly run. All our major cities, most of our major cities are in deep trouble. The blue run cities are. And are they really going to talk about the issues, or are they just going to push it aside? Are Chicago voters finally going to demand some serious discussion on the real issues? We can't afford to have all our cities go down the drain. That's what America is facing. It's nothing less than that.
At the state level, you penned a piece for WirePoints. It's over at wirepoints.org, looking at some of the new and exciting taxes that have been imposed as part of this phony baloney budget. And you suggest that some of these new taxes imposed, oh heavens, violative of the Constitution. That doesn't sound right.
It's like they just decided to throw up against the wall everything they could on new taxes and see what sticks in terms of legality and constitutionality without any real concern for the clear obstacles that they face on some of this. They've got about $800 million in new taxes here, including social media tax, the tax on digital advertising, cryptocurrency tax, all the rest. But these things face a myriad of legal challenges from the federal Constitution on down under the Commerce Clause, the federal legislation that bans any special taxes on Internet services or electronic services that differentiate between that and traditional media. Some of these obstacles are very serious, and I laid them out here. And by the way, they're not my legal theories. These have all been brought up by lawyers in their newsletters and the businesses that will be effective. A lot of it's on record already. So this is just going to be a huge mess sorting this out. And I can't imagine the headaches that businesses will face in the interim trying to figure out what the process is. I mean, what they're really liable for. I mean, basic things like who a user is for purposes of some of these taxes, social media users, is really undefined. It's a big head scratcher, and again, fundamentally in the big picture, it didn't used to be this way, Dan. I mean, if at least in our youth and going back to earlier decades in America's history, it used to be that you'd expect our lawmakers to pay some attention to the constitutionality of what they put up. Those days are long gone. It's just throw it at the wall, like I say, and see what sticks.
Well, and the consequences of that for businesses will just send more running for the exits. It's not just going to be the bears. I mean, I got a friend who's in the sector, if you will, of commercial and industrial real estate. Just thinking about the bears, obviously now with one step out the door towards Hammond, John Deere one step out the door towards Crown Point, Lando Frost, Munster, Stampede Meat, New Mexico. The suggestion is that WeatherTech is going to be out of Illinois in the not-too-distant future. That wouldn't surprise me, joining CAT and Citadel and Boeing. So it'll be high-profile and low-profile, but the pace of exodus and all of the productive capacity and wealth will continue.
And can you name one thing that's in the new budget or name anything in this batch of legislation that came out of the legislature this term that's a reform that would reverse or address the causes of those things?
How about where's the much ballyhooed property tax relief for, especially those who got reassessed in Cook County, who got blitzed on the south side and the south suburbs? Well, I thought that was going to be a priority. How'd that turn out?
It's truly as if there are no problems that have to be addressed, and instead the premise is that we'll keep doing the very things that are causing those problems. I mean, that's a perfectly fair summary of what the legislature is doing.
Mark Lennon is the founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
And Mark joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, let's check in on how you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Perhaps you have a story or two, a success story or two, an example of how you've helped clients recently.
I remember I had a neighbor who, believe it or not, was a longtime listener to your show. And he had come up to me in the yard and said he wanted to stop and smell the roses and kind of get out of his job. He was done taking the train downtown to Chicago every day and
basically working 60 hours a week for a company that didn't really care about him or his family. So we started running numbers, and lo and behold, he was able to retire 5 years earlier. He's now 12 years retired. He's a grandpa. He's loving life. He too needed a protect and grow blueprint, and he had to make sure he wasn't leaving anything to chance for their future.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor-rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's K-O-L-E digital.com. Or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560.
The Answer.
All right, coming up at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk geopolitics, including the Middle East, with Katie McFarland. But at 8 o'clock, a reckoning for one of the worst COVIDian public health celebrities, if you will, but not in the way you would have ever thought. A reckoning for Peter Hotez in the offing, hopefully. That's at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
2 weeks. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. President Trump predicts we will declare total victory over Iran over the next 2 weeks and says Iran is willing to give us everything in negotiations. That was during a tele-rally for Republicans in South Carolina last night. Then here talking to reporters after attending Game 3 of the NBA Finals in New York.
We have ongoing negotiations in Iran and with Iran, and that hasn't stopped. And we could have at least an idea by 1 or 2 days from now.
That tele-rally was for South Carolina Senate candidate Lindsey Graham and gubernatorial candidate Pamela Yvette, Graham the incumbent, of course. There are also primaries today in North Dakota, Nevada, and Maine. Fox's Alex Hogan on the Senate race there.
Democrats are hoping to flip Republican Susan Collins' seat. The campaign potential challenger of Democrat Graham Plattner has been plagued by a series of scandals and accusations. They include the candidate's Nazi-style chest tattoo, which is now covered, claims of messaging women outside his marriage, and allegations from several women who say that they had been involved with him, describing the relationship as toxic and volatile.
Claims that Plattner calls politically motivated. Back to the Iran conflict, 2 crew members are rescued after a U.S. Army helicopter crashed near the Strait of Hormuz.
The AH-64 Apache came down while conducting nighttime patrols near the coast of Oman. The crew members were rescued within around 2 hours after the crash in an effort led by U.S. Naval Forces Central Command and the 82nd Airborne Division. They're said to be in a stable condition. President Trump last night told reporters that the pilots were fine and that a report would be issued today.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The House is set to vote today on $70 billion in funding for immigration and customs enforcement that was approved by the Senate last week. Speaker Mike Johnson will need near perfect attendance and Republican unity to get it done. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. 73 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. Our top story in the QC Kinetics newsroom. 1 man is dead, 3 others wounded in a shooting on Chicago's west side. All 4 were hospitalized after being hit by gunfire in the first block of North Lockwood Avenue. 1 man was later pronounced dead. There have been no arrests. A memorial ride honored a Chicago bike safety advocate, Riley O'Neill, last night.
Riley was too young to die, but his death isn't the end of his story. This is a public health crisis when you have thousands of people every year just in the city who are injured and killed.
A memorial was held last night in the 3200 block of South Halsted in the Bridgeport community. The spot has become a gathering place for cyclists mourning the loss of CDOT employee Riley O'Neill. A high school has canceled all summer classes for at least today after a ransomware attack. Evanston Township High School announcing the attack on Sunday night had disrupted district systems and internet services along with computer infrastructure. Chicago sports, White Sox and Braves tonight. Cubs on the road at Coors Field to take on the Rockies, while the Bears begin mandatory minicamp from Hallis Hall today. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. For over 52 years, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started today. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Small business owners were feeling less encouraged by the economy in May. The National Federation of Independent Business says its Small Business Optimism Index declined to a reading of 95.3 last month. Higher fuel prices contributed. More than a third of owners raised prices. A similar number plan increases. Stock futures are recovering ground. Chip stocks NVIDIA, Broadcom, and Micron Technology are rising after Friday's sell-off. Brent crude's price has moderated to $92 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate down to $89 on optimism about possible progress toward resolving the Mideast conflict. And OpenAI, maker of ChatGPT, has confidentially filed for its stock launch. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for his protection, his comfort, and his peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Feeling uncertain by life's challenges? Discover timeless truth and encouragement with In Touch Ministries, guiding you every step of the way. At intouch.org, you'll discover encouragement that lasts. With powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith, you'll find hope and wisdom for every season of your life. Don't wait. Visit intouch.org today and let God's Word inspire your journey. That's intouch.org.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
It's 8:08. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, we see an accident on the Jane Addams I-90 eastbound right at Higgins Road, Rosemont area, causing delays. An accident on the Tri-State. Two semis on the right-hand shoulder after tangling northbound just after Stearns School Road. On the Eisenhower outbound, you're hitting the brakes from Costner all the way to Des Plaines Avenue, and the Kennedy jamming up outbound between Montrose and Harlem. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a chance of morning thunderstorms in some areas. Otherwise, it will be very warm and humid with varying cloud cover. The high will reach 88 degrees. Tonight, anticipate partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions, along with a chance of thunderstorms in some spots. The low will be around 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, in search of reckonings for COVIDian offenders. Difficult to come by, I know. But we may have one in the offing in a very unexpected fashion. For Dr. Peter Hotez, one of the worst celebrity public health COVIDians during the pandemic. He is the Dean of Tropical Medicine at Baylor University. He's the one who's sort of like disheveled. He doesn't look like a doctor. He looks like some sort of character you would see in the opening to Mystery Science Theater 3000. Some sort of like mad or off-kilter scientist. Goofy. But the fear-mongering and junk science he was peddling for years during COVID, enjoying the celebrity all along the way, that's not goofy. That was very real. I mean, just for example, this is in December of 2024. Not that far removed in terms of when this, how long this stuff was still going on.
Here's the reason why we need to care about this stuff, Nicole, is that we have some big picture stuff coming down the pike starting on January 21st. Mr. Bloomberg mentioned H5N1. That I'm really worried about. It's all over wild birds on the western part of the United States and going up in the north. It's getting into the poultry. We're seeing sporadic human cases, no human-to-human transmission yet, but that could happen. It's in the cattle, it's in the milk, and that's just the beginning. We have another major coronavirus likely brewing in Asia. We've had SARS in 2002, SARS-2, COVID-19 in 2019. And we know these viruses are jumping from bats to people thousands of times a year. But there's still more. We know that we have a big problem with mosquito-transmitted viruses all along the Gulf Coast, where I am here in Texas. So we're expecting dengue and possibly Zika virus coming back, or a Puche virus, maybe even yellow fever. And there's more. Then we have all this sharp rise in vaccine-preventable diseases going up because of, in part, the anti-vaccine activism that's so prominent right now. We have a 5-fold rise in pertussis cases, whooping cough over the last year, 15 measles outbreaks this year. We've got polio that's been in the wastewater in New York State. All that's going to come crashing down on January 21st on the Trump administration. We need a really, really good team to be able to handle this.
Talk about plague fear-mongering. That was a lot to compress into 90 seconds. You checked a lot of the plague boxes, didn't you? And it's all coming down on Trump, January 21st of 2025. And we're here on June 9th of 2026. How do those predictions work out? Including still clinging to mutations of COVID. Remarkable. But this is what this guy did for years, all the time. And, of course, he was platformed by MSNBC, MS Now, whatever the hell you want to call it, and all of the D.C. press corps outlets, because he would say the most hysterical things. He would be the most reckless fearmonger. He would be the least interested in contemplating other people's viewpoints, of almost Fauci level. He was challenged many times to debate RFK Jr. by Joe Rogan, and he wouldn't do it. Wouldn't debate anybody. He was just enjoying his celebrity, where he could go on challenge, where he would have to just deal with intellects like Nicole Wallace. But, these are the sorts of things he said over the course of the pandemic. For example, on vaccine disinformation, as he so termed it.
The Biden administration has to realize that that anti-science is a killer, disinformation. It's not even just disinformation. This is an anti-science empire right now, and we need Homeland Security. We need the Justice Department. We've really got to figure this out, and Health and Human Services will not be able to figure this out on their own.
So vaccine disinformation, as he described it, or as he determined it, was a criminal matter, should have been. That's what he just said. It wasn't good enough that people asking questions or offering alternative points of view to the COVIDian orthodoxy were silenced online. They should have been imprisoned, according to Peter Hotez. You're starting to remember this guy, or at least this line of argumentation. I mean, pick a topic area of COVID, any topic area. On the mostly peaceful protests versus Trump rallies. The latter, super spreader events, the former, the righteousness outweighed the public health risk.
Remember, the reason why these protests are happening in the first place is to protest structural racism. COVID-19 is decimating African-American communities, and that is actually, in my opinion, actually a component of the protests.
I think it's important our public health leaders speak out on this as well. We simply cannot be holding rallies.
Yeah. So the Black Lives Matter, Summer of Love, sacking of cities, it's all part of COVID and the structural racism problem, says the director of tropical medicine. And Trump rallies, we got to speak out. Can't have Trump rallies. Super spreader events. How about closing schools?
So you're saying we don't need to open schools up at all at this point?
That's right.
And any sort of pushback on any of these topics that we discussed ad nauseum, as you all know, was, just part of the old Hillary Clinton vast right-wing conspiracy.
92% reduction in asymptomatic transmission, so it's preventing people from shedding virus from their nose and mouth.
These vaccines will stop asymptomatic transmission.
This anti-science element that began out of the Republican Tea Party, expanded across the Republican Party, now globalizing, is a threat, and it's a killer. Is when we look at groups that are going to refuse vaccines, it's pretty high among the African-American population because they don't trust what's been going on. They all point to the same thing. It's white Republicans. And I don't know how to more elegantly say it. We have to revisit what the anti-vaccine movement has become, which is really an anti-science empire. They're using this as a way to consolidate power by showing that they're stronger than the scientists. Far-right element of the Republican Party has launched a war of aggression against vaccines, vaccine scientists, and other scientists. One of the things the political right does is always point out that the death rate from COVID-19 among adolescents is relatively low, and that's true. Deliberately put upon us by the far-right element of the Republican Party. They engineered, I don't think they realized it, but they basically engineered the return of COVID-19 to the southern United States.
And was he right about that? On things like asymptomatic spread, not a thing? On masking as prophylactic? I mean, he might as well, and well, he did. They're just so quotidian now, it's not even worth playing them. He repeated all of the cliches that were promulgated by Tony Fauci and the CDC and NIH at the time from, 2 weeks to stop the spread forward. Yeah. And the reason that I have so many clips from Hotez is because he was such a leading COVIDian, and he was doing not just the bidding of the COVIDians on the scaremongering and the mandate imposing, but also on the politicizing, as you just heard there. It's a bad guy. On mandates?
Obsession with mandates. And I say, look, right now, no one's talking about mandates.
We can mandate that all of the eligible adolescents over the age of 12 get vaccinated if they want to go to school. This is like something before the Industrial Revolution, when we had child labor. Every kid over the age of 12 needs to be vaccinated if they're going to attend schools.
No, nobody's talking about mandates until they were talking about mandates, of course, just like the politician. Bad guy. Well, it turns out he's not going to suffer a reckoning probably for all the things that he said and promoted and all the damage that did. But his personal conduct leaves a little bit to be desired. A vaccine expert named Peter Hotez, New York Post has the story, lusted after a Northwell health scientist who repeatedly rejected him. Then he allegedly got her canned after she joked about bringing a gun to work, she has claimed in a lawsuit that's been filed. The married 68-year-old Hotez, who apparently considers himself quite the ladies' man, spoke at a May 2024 Northwell Health Symposium and reconnected with a former graduate school colleague named Annette Lee. Lee accused Hotez of repeatedly propositioning her, even though the two had never been that close. According to the suit, following the symposium, Hotez and Lee had drinks, and Hotez unexpectedly confessed that he had been in love with Lee since graduate school. Lee, a leading molecular scientist and dean at Northwell Health's Graduate School of Molecular Medicine, claimed Hotez reached out several times throughout 2024. Quoting from the suit, he told me about his repeated marital affairs and joked about how much Cialis he had purchased. I was disturbed by all the women he described and told him that being the high-profile person that he is, he should be more discreet and stay out of the backseat of cars. That just is a grotesque image. Dr. Hotez told me he would give up all these women for me, and I declined and said I did not want to be more than friends and said that I did not want a sexual relationship. In August of 2024, so a few months after the symposium, Lee texted Hotez after an intensely stressful day, she said, and joked that she should be kept away from a firearm. It was a joke, and having known Lee for this long, Hotez would have known it was a joke. Instead, Hotez reported the remark to Lee's boss, and she was fired weeks later after more than 20 years with Northwell. She claims retaliation for rejecting the great COVIDian Peter Hotez and filed a discrimination suit for wrongful termination against Northwell. And, of course, everybody is, lawyered up and denying. But, gosh, that rings true. That rings true of somebody who, was, some dork in the Baylor School of Tropical Medicine, squirreled away in a lab or some academic building down in Waco. And all of a sudden, he's a big celebrity. He's a big shot. He's the go-to guy for the D.C. press corps to push COVIDian propaganda. Boy, I can't wait to see how this plays out. Again, when it comes to these COVIDians, I don't know that we're going to get the reckonings we want on the professional side for their professional misconduct. But I'm happy to take what I can get, no matter how some of these people are exposed as the disreputable human beings that they are. Peter Hotez, top of the list. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio video and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE Digital.com. Or call 815-469-2000. And we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
Everywhere you turn, it's plus, plus, plus. But at Hassellus Mattress, nobody has more plus than us. Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $293. Plus, through Monday, get a free adjustable base. Plus, a huge selection of Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and other big-name brands. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, employee-free showrooms. Whew! All these pluses have me feeling nonplussed. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. Is your life filled with I can't raise my arms, I can't climb stairs, I can't kneel down, I can't take a long walk or golf with the guys? Well, today's a new day. Take action, a day to celebrate what you can do. And that's exactly what QC Kinetics patients are doing. Back to enjoying their lives again thanks to the innovative treatments offered at QC Kinetics. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. So many of you have been through their life-changing regenerative treatments done right in the office. No missing work, no surgery, no long recovery. The inflammation calms down. I want you to schedule a free consultation. You don't have to live a life of I can't. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. Their treatments are natural, so don't watch summer pass you by again. Take action today. Schedule an appointment right now. Consultations are free. Call 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to be pain-free this summer at 312-827-6261.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind, which has to be rewarding. Doing it a long time. You've got a lot of success stories on a daily basis, I'm sure. Can you give our listeners an example of a family that you've helped out recently that comes to mind?
We had a 65-year-old call who had been listening to your show, and he called us and he said, he wanted to know, do I have enough assets? I'm really tired of working. I'm burnt out, etc. And he didn't know if he had the resources, and he didn't have the knowledge to get to the answer of that. So we helped him prepare a Protect and Grow blueprint. And by doing that, we helped position his money for income and cut back on the risks that they had in their current portfolio.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to former Deputy NSA KT McFarland about, elections in Latin and South America, reauthorization of Section 702, and, of course, the situation in the Middle East. All that and more with KT at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
73 degrees. We've had thunderstorms move through parts of the area this morning. Sun breaks out in the afternoon with a humid high of 88. In our QC Kinetics newsroom, a man dead, 3 others are wounded in a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say a 15-year-old boy and 3 men were on the sidewalk last night along North Lockwood Avenue. Someone in a passing SUV opened fire, shooting 4. One of the men pronounced dead later at a nearby hospital. Last night, Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott addressed questions about the Bears announcement during the monthly Hammond City Council meeting. McDermott adding fuel to the fire. The Bears have already made up their mind on Hammond, Indiana.
A lot of people in Chicago media are criticizing what they thought was a vague wording from the Chicago Bears. I'm not criticizing it. I know why it was vague. I can't talk about that right now. But the Bears are coming to Hammond, Indiana. Okay, I want you to know that.
McDermott also took shots at Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for leaving Bears games at Soldier Field early.
You'll never leave a game early.
I don't have to leave that one early. It's 10 minutes away from my house. So I want to keep in mind, too, there's hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure that's going to be done to improve the traffic patterns, improve the drainage, improve the parking. It's beyond your wildest dreams.
McDermott confirming the Bears will need at least 360 acres for the new stadium. Primaries are being held in 4 states today: North Dakota, South Carolina, Nevada, Maine, all holding contests for U.S. House, Senate, and governor's races. Authorities in Toledo, Ohio, scheduling a press conference for later this morning, providing an update into the investigation of a weekend shooting where 12 were hit by gunfire ranging in age from 14 to 61 at a weekend festival. A driver backed into a UPS store in Shorewood Monday afternoon, pinning an employee beneath the vehicle. Fire department personnel freed a worker who was transported to an area hospital. Chicago sports. White Sox host the Braves tonight. Cubs are at Coors Field to take on the Rockies, and the Bears begin mandatory minicamp at Hallis Hall. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware. Cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads comes your way in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Scott Jennings sees the president holding strong.
The U.S. says the ceasefire remains in place, but there has been some firing. The U.S. sank 2 Revolutionary Guard ships that it said were laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. So we wait and we watch, and the principal message from the White House remains: no nukes for Iran and no bad deals for the sake of doing them.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, Dr. Huber here with Marty. Marty and I were at the Cigar Festival 2026, and we're here listening to Sean Thompson's show. And Marty told me about he has a sinus problem that Virago seemed to help.
Probably for the past 15, 20 years, I would get a sinus infection every spring, every fall, and had to go in, get medication. Since the last 2 years I've been taking Virago, I have not had any issues with the sinus. If I feel it coming on, I just up the dosage, and then I get the sweats one night, and then it's all gone. I feel great.
So you think Virago is a big reason for all this improvement?
Yeah, and I don't have to take any sinus medication, which I'm happy about because I don't know what's in half that stuff anyway.
Well, that's great, and thanks, Marty. We're glad to tell our Virago fans that we do help with your sinus problems. Thank you.
Try Virago today. Order your bottle online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. That's myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature Bank stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
8:36. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden Spur. Slow and go eastbound between Waukegan Road and the Edens Expressway merge. Kennedy inbound right now at 55 minutes. You're jammed up Montrose to Division. And an accident on the outbound side of the Kennedy between the Circle and Lake. Delays this morning as well with an accident on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound right at the Oak Street curve, and an accident left shoulder Tri-State southbound just before 394. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. A thunderstorm crossing the area this morning, otherwise very warm and humid with a high of 88.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It's time to reauthorize it, and it's running into some static. In part because there are a bunch of Democrats that oppose the nomination of Bill Pulte to be the new DNI to replace Tulsi Gabbard. And in part, I think there's some concern among some Republicans, at least, I'm one of them, with the abuses of Section 702, which is supposed to be for surveillance of foreign actors outside of the United States. And we know that has not been the case often. I don't know, they're trying to memory hold this, but as a 2023, it's not that long ago, FBI misused intelligence database in 278,000 searches. That's a lot of mistakes. Cheryl Atkinson, independent journalist, has reported on other such abuses, and testimony on the Hill from former FBI Director Christopher Wray that did not exactly square with the truth, which was unfortunately a frequent occurrence with him. Nonetheless, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth posting on X, America faces real threats from foreign adversaries, terrorists, cyber actors, and hostile intel services. Section 702 remains one of our nation's most effective tools for identifying and disrupting those threats before they reach our shores. The bipartisan Senate reauthorization strengthens both security and civil liberties by adding new safeguards, increasing transparency, expanding congressional oversight, imposing criminal penalties for misuse, and enhancing protections for Americans' constitutional rights. Now, unfortunately, there's a little bit of boy who cried wolf. Now, to be fair, it was different boys crying wolf under different reauthorizations, but still, you can understand the skepticism, particularly given a unclear status on how much draining of the swamp in the intel community has been done. Well, let's get some expert perspective on this and other matters. Please be joined, as always, by KT McFarland, former First Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, author of the bestseller Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So where do you come down on reauthorizing 702?
I mean, I guess I come down the way you do. If it's abused, it's terrible. If it is used as it is meant to be used, it's probably quite good. Now, why is it abused? I think we've seen massive abuse that the Democrats have used it, especially in the Biden administration against incoming Trump people.
Yeah.
So a lot of that has to do with not just the political leaders who are advocating, who tell the civilians in the intelligence community, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. It's the intelligence community's employees alone who are, in the case of in the Biden administration, were only too happy to go after the Trump people because they thought the Trump people wanted to drain the swamp, which Trump people did want to drain the swamp, and they were the swamp. So I guess I'm of you. I mean, as long as the safeguards are there, frankly, if Congress is doing its job, you shouldn't have the abuses. And if you do have the abuses, there are whistleblowers who can alert you to and then it should go, firmly against the people who are abusers, whether they are political leaders or whether they are civilians.
Right. I mean, again, and going back to the Obama years, story from 2017, the FISA court rebuked NSA for 5 years of illegal surveillance of U.S. citizens. Jim Clapper famously lied under oath. So that was a FISA a judge that found that all these Fourth Amendment violations during the Obama years, too, 5 years worth of them. And so it becomes a question of, is it just the wrong people, or is it a power that you just can't trust to reside with these agencies, and particularly in sort of this modern structure of Congress?
Obviously it's bad actors, and it's bad actors who know how to manipulate the system. The whole point of having a FISA court was that there was supposed to be a judicial check to make sure that those abuses, could not be carried out. And it didn't work. Why? Because the FISA judges sort of went along with anything they were told. So I think, frankly, the best way out of all of this is hold people accountable, whether they're civilians or whether they're political leaders or permanent government employees or military. Just hold people accountable and have the Justice Department go after people who break the rules. I mean, the problem is now that everyone assumes, well, there's no consequence, so why not?
Right.
If anybody ever thought, I better be looking over my shoulder because these political leaders asking me to do something, they'll be long gone and I'll be stuck holding the bag.
I want to get your take on something else, this sort of rolling development in Central and South America. Another event yesterday, the election of Keiko Fujimori to be the president of Peru, a right-winger. David Asman, Fox News, he wrote this in reaction to her victory. As someone who covered the region for a dozen years for the Wall Street Journal and reported in astonishment how even under conservative President Ronald Reagan, USAID was funding socialist projects in Latin America, I can attest to you that since USAID was defunded and thousands of NGO contracts were canceled, the left-wing parties are losing in Central and South America, that there's a direct correlation. We were propping up through USAID, at least partly, these left-wing socialist movements and maybe even governments. And once that has been removed, particularly in the context of, acting in furtherance of your quality of life interests, you're seeing this run of right of center leaders being elected throughout Central and South America.
David Asman, who I've known for a long time and have an enormous amount of respect for, he really does his homework. And when I read what he had, I had watched what he had said about that too, and I'd never connected those dots. David did connect the dots, and it makes perfectly good sense. We were using American tax dollars to prop up anti-American political groups or NGOs who were then funding that money and funding their support to political groups. I mean, we were paying to screw ourselves. I mean, it's just it's a vicious circle, and that's only one of the things about this as we uncover all of the layers of the onion of the NGO corruption, whether it's at home where you have the Somalis in Minnesota just ripping the government off for stuff that services they're not providing, and they're sending to the point where they were sending back to Somalia more money than is the GNP of Somalia because they were stealing it from American taxpayers under fraudulent means. And then now you see the next layer of the onion is, the foreign NGOs we were supporting with our money, left-wing groups who were then winning elections and taking over governments. Keep going. I mean, J.D. Vance, keep going and looking at more and more corruption because keep peeling that onion back, and the whole NGO, whether at home or abroad, is just riddled with fraud.
Yeah, and I mean, and what it's provided for, and not that everyone is going to be a transformative leader, but it certainly is reestablishing sort of a pro-freedom, pro-capitalist ethos in the Western Hemisphere. And there are some standouts, like, for example, Javier Milei in Argentina, that are turning that country around and quickly.
And then what happens in that part of the world is once one country goes that way, so Milei, who's come in and massively slashed corrupt, incompetent governments. I mean, whole departments just went under the chopping block. And now that the economy has turned around, freedom has happened. You look at another country, and when you look at Bukele, and what has he done? Well, he's put all those guys in Salvador in jail, all the career criminals. He's gone after organized crime. That country is where people now want to go flee to, not flee away from. And it becomes contagious. So if you're a neighboring country and you're under the yoke of incompetence or corruption or communism or the cartels, you're thinking, well, my neighbor did it, maybe I can do it. And so I think that Marco Rubio was really the first political leader to identify the ability of the United States to change the Western Hemisphere. And that has been a theme of his whole political life. And now it is finally coming to fruition. Within a not too long period of time, especially after the election yesterday, there'll be another election in Brazil where the pro-capitalist, anti-communist, anti-socialist candidate, Flavio Bolsonaro, is going to win. We are now going to have a Western Hemisphere, and ultimately with Cuba, maybe not too long from now with Cuba, that is pro-Western, is pro-American, led by the United States, is pro-democracy, anti-cartel, anti-communist, financially really solvent because of all the mineral and resource wealth of South and Central America. And we could be looking at 100 years of the Western Hemisphere really dominating the world in peace and prosperity.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and it's great because we helped Kamala Harris find the root causes of mass migration from the Northern Triangle countries. It was socialism, and if we just move these countries in the direction or help them move, saw them move in the direction of free minds and free markets, well, there you go. We don't have the same influx. People aren't so inclined to flee their homeland.
Yeah, something that she is just the epitome of the corruption and incompetence of the whole NGO movement. And with somebody like her out of the way and those NGOs that she was supporting out of the way, just let freedom ring.
What is your sort of latest, best assessment of where we're at and what Trump is attempting to do with the Iranians and with some fits and starts with Bibi on trying to maintain some semblance of a ceasefire, such as it is applied, as he said last week. Ceasefire is when the shooting is more moderate. Yeah. So okay. But I mean, is Trump dithering too long with the Iranians, or do you think that we should to just sort of still provide some patience here, and there's a deal to be had that we could actually enforce?
Yeah, you've mentioned that all the sort of key aspects of this. Enforce. We don't want to have to be the ones to enforce this. We can do part of it, but we don't want to have a permanent presence there looking under every rock. That's why it's so important to bring in the Gulf Arab countries into the Abraham Accords. The same way, Trump's got part of the way there with the Abraham Accords at the end of his first term, and Saudi Arabia, just as Saudi Arabia and others were getting ready to join the Abraham Accords, that's when Iran unleashed Hamas on October 7th to sabotage that deal. So what you need those Gulf Arab countries on your side because the Abraham Accords originally was a commercial organization for trade, for commerce, for reinvestment. And it's been so successful that now it has turned into more of a security relationship. As Israel, can you imagine that there are Israeli soldiers are in the UAE right now helping defend the Emirates against Iranian attack? You would never have said that was a possibility in a million years. But now we have a security relationship. So President Trump, behind the scenes, he keeps saying, I want to enlarge the Abraham Accords. That should be part of any deal with Iran. But at the same time, the Iranian leadership, they get that. They know that that's the problem for them. So the same way that they tried to sabotage the Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords several years ago, they were looking at the peace agreements that are now being negotiated by part of the Iranian government, the so-called pragmatists, and they're probably getting pretty close, which is getting the hardliners and the IRGC mad. So I think what happens then is they try to sabotage that. How do they sabotage it? By causing Hezbollah to attack Israel, knowing Israel responds, and then you get the ceasefires broken. So I think they'll have a lot more back and forth. To me, the fact that Hezbollah is attacking Israel's response is probably, in a weird way, an indication that there is something good happening with those peace talks. Otherwise, Hezbollah wouldn't be as noisy as it is.
So, with respect to needing the Gulf states for enforcement after the fact, that makes some sense. Why not make the play then, which would be in the Gulf states' interest, to really amp up Project Freedom and provide escorts to commercial ships in and out of the strait while this is happening, because we can defend ourselves, and we would be helping those Gulf state actors that are our allies of certainly convenience in this situation. Wouldn't that be something that could expedite the process and strengthen the bonds for what post-deal looks like?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of it is that the Iranians are screwing it up themselves by bombing. Just last week, they bombed Kuwait. Kuwait's not yet a member of the Abraham Accords, but you're getting attacked by Iran. That's a real incentive to want to join the anti-Iran coalition. The other thing is that we apparently are getting ships through on the southern part of the strait, on the Omani side, but we're not making any noise about it. They're turning their responders. Nobody's seeing them come through. But they are coming through, not in the amount that they have been before, definitely not in the amount that we need. But there is a path through. So does that get expanded upon? I'm willing to give President Trump a little bit more time because I think he's got time before the midterms. The whole thing in Iran right now is that they think that Trump's going to blink first because he's nervous about the midterms. He's going to take a deal, any deal. And Trump thinks, well, I think they're going to blink first because they're in such massive economic distress and collapse that they don't have as much time as I have. So Trump has a couple of months. Does Iran have that long before their currency collapse and their starvation? Maybe not. They probably don't have a couple of months. Probably don't even have more than a month or two. So I'm looking that this settles sometime in the summer when you get the Gulf Arabs alongside, when you get the Iranians definitely and desperate enough, and you give President Trump enough time to get it done before the midterms, and therefore the price of oil goes immediately down, the price of gasoline goes immediately down. Donald Trump is a great success.
Katie McFarland, former first Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And KT joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 five-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
The law group you know and trust, Nauman & Associates, is expanding into commercial litigation. When disputes can't be resolved, get the strategic guidance from a litigation lawyer who will fight for your rights. Attorney Richard Cannon brings both strong courtroom and dispute settlement skills. We believe most cases can be resolved without costly courtroom battles, but we prepare as if a trial is possible. When your company needs to stand its ground, contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village. For a consultation, visit nalawgroup.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Lewis Hamilton is a Formula One driver, and apparently Kim Kardashian's latest boy toy. On a recent podcast, he offered his commentary on wealth and how much any one person should be able to accrue.
One of the things that I struggle with every day is, and it's just how life is, and it's been the way for thousands of years, that there is such a disparity between wealthy and the poor. And, you still, when you drive around LA, there's still so many people living on the streets. You shouldn't be able to have billions, right? I think there should be a limit to how much you can have, because there's enough to go around to everyone. So somehow creating a law that creates more equality. Yeah, and equal access to
yes, the fashionable view of the dilettante celebrity. Readers added context to this, which is always helpful because I didn't know this. Lewis Hamilton lives in Monaco in Switzerland. He also used a corporate leasing structure to save more than £3 million in taxes when he bought a £16 million private jet in 2013. Boy, Formula One and capitalism have been very, very good to Lewis Hamilton and his girlfriend, but wants to cut the bridge before anybody else gets across, of course. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with more wit and wisdom. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Decision day for Democrats in Maine. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. There are primaries in 4 states today, and Graham Plattner, oyster farmer, Marine veteran, and first-time candidate, is trying to win the Democrat Senate nomination in Maine to take on Republican Susan Collins in November. These primary voters in Portland are looking past allegations and controversy surrounding Plattner.
I don't know what's real and really what isn't real, so I want to give him I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
He seems to have been very honest about his mistakes. He's owned